been to Sean's show.
This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Marion County Commission, February 22nd, 9 a.m.
I don't think my mic's on.
Switch is on.
It's on. Yep.
Okay.
This
Okay, do we have any COVID update this morning?
Yes, I do have I had an email from Deidre this morning.
Okay.
As of 7:25 a.m., we were at 633 positive confirmed PCR cases, 362 probable cases, 14 active, and 1 hospitalization as of Thursday, 18 vital statistic confirmed deaths. No change noted on the KDHE website regarding the rolling 14% positivity for Marion County, but as of 7:25 a.m., the data reported remains unchanged. The rolling 14-day positivity rate for Marion County for the period of January 31st through February 13th is 8%, 21 positives out of 261 total tests. This will likely be updated today at 12:30 on KDHE's website. We received no vaccine last week due to weather. Therefore, we are scheduled to get that shipment today. However, the prime doses allocated will be substituted as booster doses. Also this week, we are to receive 200 prime doses and 200 booster doses. The booster vaccination is exactly the same dosage and component as the prime vaccination. Therefore, shipments can be interchanged, which is what occurred on Wednesday when we vaccinated 205 individuals in their 70s and above, along with pod workers. Wednesday, our pod will be at the Marion County Fairgrounds, where we will be vaccinating 190 individuals with their booster dose, and 10 will be given at Congregate Living Facility, who received their prime dose at the end of January. The health department is working with the hospitals to schedule another pod to vaccinate 400 individuals 65 and older. Currently, vaccinations are by appointment only. Again, thank you to the hospitals, volunteers, and other businesses that have assisted with pods. Also, thank you to the county commissioners for their assistance and allowing other county offices to assist.
Cool. Good deal. Anybody got any comments? Dave? Okay.
It's going to be warmer this.
Well, that's we're all tickled with that. Yes.
Well, it's weird because the one day it was 6 degrees. That was 2 weeks ago. Wasn't that bad. This last week it was 6 degrees. It was horrible on your feet. It frosted the ground so hard that it was coming back out. Yeah.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks weren't a lot of fun. But people had to get in.
Yeah.
Everybody had cold feet.
Okay. Administrative business.
Okay.
Tina.
I just wanted to give you an update. I did hear, you know, you had sent a letter to the McPherson Area Solid Waste Utility, and I did get a phone call from them, and they said that the director of that agency was unexpectedly out of the office, and so it's going to be a delayed decision on that. So they did receive our letter, but we don't know when that person will be back or when they'll be discussing it. So, but they did call to let me know that they received it and why there's a delay. So that's the only information I have on that.
Okay.
In your packet, you had the clerk's report, you had some budget reports.
On the clerk's report there, you have some checks that was checked.
Yeah, so
Voided?
yes, we had voided it, so our balance
Okay.
is different than the treasurer's balance, but they hadn't voided them yet. So
Okay.
that was just our balancing process, because we
Alright.
have to balance with them. And
Hand reconciled.
Yeah. Yeah.
so It was a lot of fun this last month too, because there was $1.10 that we were off out of $28 million. And so we finally found it, but it was a very difficult process, so.
It's usually the worst, the last 10 cents, and it's like,
Yeah.
I've looked everywhere.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that both the treasurers and us were off. Some, usually one or the other is off, and then those are easier to find, so. But anyway, we found it. It was taken care of. I have the minutes from February 16th.
Has everybody had a chance to look them over? I think accept the motion.
Make a motion to approve February 16th,
Do I hear a second?
21.
Second.
Have a motion by Jonah for February 16th minutes, and second by Kent. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, 5-0.
We don't have any change orders today.
Do we have?
Oh, that's horrible. That'll be a little double stack next week.
Yeah, you might.
Do we need to, Mr. Chairman, do we need to add the disaster declaration to the agenda?
Yeah, as soon as we get administrative business here over with, I thought we'd bring that up and talk about it. But right after administrative business, this declaration here that's been asked for.
Okay, so the commission has participated, and the county has participated in the Rural Opportunity Zone for the past several years. And every year, we did budget for that, but they are now asking for a resolution every single year on that. And so that was in your packet for Marion County to participate in the Rural Opportunity Zone for 2021. And we have budgeted $4,500 for 2021. So that resolution is in your packet.
Okay, with that being said, I've been here quite a while. I don't know how many of the people ever wrote us a letter and said what they did with it. What I'm getting at is, and it's not required, but yet we keep putting the money out, and do you hear anything? Not very often. So, I guess that's about like, Prairie View. I mean, they're asking for us to do it, but do we hear any reports? Do we know what they're doing with it? What if they ask all taxpayers on Prairie View? I mean, we just don't know nothing. So, not that I want to quit it. I think it's a good thing.
Have we been expending all of those funds each year?
The majority of them, and they do send like our list of people that's waiting. That's about the only report that we get. This comes from the State Department of Commerce.
Yes.
Also, if the county does not participate, so when the counties participate, then other people in the county can participate, such as employers can sponsor people. And some of those employers are doing that. And so if the county does not participate, I don't believe people under us can participate. So that's one thing to think about.
If I remember right, you're right.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And I like that part of it almost better than
Yes.
our.
Well,
yes.
the county can't really make a huge impact with the amount of budget that we have. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 3 people,
Yeah.
and they stay on for 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
Does anybody have any problems with RAWs? I mean, does anybody else have any?
It's a good program, we need to continue.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay.
I don't have the word.
What's
Sorry.
what's the
this is
resolution
the
number?
resolution, so the resolution number, so we would need a
What's in this,
resolution.
I skipped my pages ahead.
That's okay. We would need a motion to adopt resolution number 2105.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to adopt 2105, which continue participating at $4,500 a year for RAWs, I think it's $1,500 each student. And do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second, Kent Becker. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, the signatures are on the second page there.
too.
Hey, good for you.
Well, that's,
We have a few resolutions potentially today, so
Uh-oh.
that's good, you're getting good
Okay,
stuff.
good practice.
I didn't give you the minutes to sign. Okay, I know that you're gonna talk about the resolution for disaster that I put on the table there, but the only other thing that I have for administrative is just kind of a heads up. You know, several years ago, well, a few times, but several years ago, most recently, we did have the Marion County Leadership Program that was going, and we had an employee that left, and we had some issues with some of those funds, and they were recovered. And so we do have those funds protected at this point, and there is a couple of annuity funds through the Community Foundation that those funds can be drawn on each year to keep that program going. And so as of right now, that program has not been going for several years. And so through the Central Kansas Community Foundation, there is the potential that we could get that going again, but we want to make sure that the commission sets that up in an appropriate fashion with correct oversight and the right structure. And so what I would like to do is to schedule Angie Tatro with the Community Foundation onto the agenda next week to give you a little bit overview about the program and what can be done with it, and kind of some models that they have, because the Central Kansas Community Foundation has actually, in some counties, they are administering the program, or they have a way to administer the program. Also, there's discussion about possibly putting a group of people together to run that program in Marion County, but I really would feel strongly that you would need to set that up correctly with the correct oversight on that. So, but now that we're, you know, we've moved down the road a little bit from kind of the issues that we had in the past, but it'd be great to get that started again. There are funds specifically for adult leadership, and there's a separate whole fund for youth leadership. So, does anybody have any issue with me putting them on the agenda for next week to just kind of give an update and discuss how to move forward?
I think it'd be an excellent program, and if there's a process that can be set up appropriately, we sure need to listen and get input.
And it's needed in the county to bring all the young people, get them out active, and it was working real well for 10 or 15 years.
The leadership program?
Yes, in Marion County. I helped set it up 25 years ago, probably. Carol Weeby and Jim Baker.
I think it's important going forward, because as you know, especially when it comes to city, county, any time a governmental thing, it's getting harder and harder to get people to say, I will be part of that, or I will run for that office, or those kind of things. It's just it seems like the young people are too busy.
People get stuck. They don't get outside their little world. You know, we found that out the last 2 weeks. You know, people from Hillsborough think everybody knows everything about Tabor College, but people from Marion's never been on the campus, or Florence or Peabody. so we had a little trouble with directions. Because we're all comfortable just doing our own little thing, and this leadership thing gives people to go all over the county to see all the different things that's going on.
I know that quite often you come across somebody that's been through the program. I mean, some of our county employees have been, and, you know, it's a 6 month or 5 month?
Yes,
It varies.
six,
Yeah.
about 5 or 6 meetings once a
Yeah.
month,
Yeah,
one day a month.
yeah, so,
Yeah, I never got to go through it, so I don't know the answer to that.
what happened to you? Well, no, I think it's a general feeling here, let's put them on the agenda so we can
Okay.
see, was that be what this Sally was, their board would do, or?
Yeah,
Or
well,
just the
they
funds?
will, Angie Tatro is in charge of the Community Foundation. She's the executive director, and she's familiar with kind of the history of the funding there and how that's set up. And she also has knowledge about some of the programs that are being administered in different counties. And so, and then there's also another lady that'll be with her that is, you know, that's currently in charge of some of the programming. And so getting us that kind of curriculum again and figuring out how that structure is supposed to be will be, I think, a really great move. So they're gonna, I had just asked them tentatively just to make sure that it was okay with all of you, but they'll plan to join electronically. I don't think they'll come in person, but,
All right,
so.
sounds good.
I think
Okay.
there's been a history of these small community and county groups all over the state not being able to administer
Okay.
their programs properly, and
Yeah.
they just come and they go, and
We
Yep.
need leadership.
Okay, all right, well, that was really all I had, except for a resolution about potentially change the meeting times, but I think we'll do that under
Brad.
Brad's time.
That one
so.
and the charter and transit gas.
Yeah, I did have a draft of that ready for you to look at, but I don't have the other one, and I think all of that is, the transient guest tax one has a separate scheduled time on the agenda, so.
Okay. The other thing that's on your agenda there, we've got it on the agenda here to discuss on the longevity stuff, placement, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's coming up here on the schedule.
So then the only other thing that was this resolution that's on the table.
What's happened is, I think most of the commissioners received emails from maybe some of the city administrators and asking for the county to put in a declaration of disaster for the county. So I think Randy Frank was contacted by, I don't know, Joan or Dave, one of the two, and Dave Crowfoot. And so that's where it has started. We do have Randy presented one here. It's only for 7 days.
And we can change that if, I believe, if,
And it's due to, the email was over utility bills that's gonna be coming. And this is just over to declare the disaster happened, I guess.
well, I think it's more of an advocacy for the citizenry of the county. If and when at some point in time there could be some federal FEMA funding to cover a portion of that. Of course, we know how FEMA works, so I mean, this is
Yeah.
but it would at least get us on the list.
Yeah.
and I believe Randy's on the meeting if you need to ask him any questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So, anybody have any questions for Randy Frank?
My only question would be, the 7-day. I'm not quite,
During the time of the.
that was actually the time of the event,
Okay.
because it says it will remain in effect for a period of 7 days. So I mean, if we sign this, we're gonna have to renew it again next week.
Well, my only issue with that, and maybe Randy could clarify that, is I had sent an email off to KC.
Yes.
And included Randy. And in case there was more of a uniformed resolution between 105 counties, we would want to be able to migrate to that.
Well, the governor issued.
Well, the governor doesn't quite have the authority to do so. I think it kind of goes back to the county rule. And that's the reason why it's getting put on us.
Did you get a response from KAC?
Yeah, but they haven't made it that far yet.
Okay.
So I would like Randy to just tell me what I haven't included in that.
Randy,
Or if anything I
are you
said was
listening?
wrong.
Randy?
I'm trying to listen. There's some guys are too far away from the microphone, but
Okay.
my understanding of the questions is on the dates. The date of the event is in paragraph 1, where it talks about February 2021. That's the date of the event. So it's all the cold weather that happened in February. That's the time period that we're looking at. Okay. The 7 days at the bottom is by law, by Kansas law. We can only do a declaration like this unless the state of Kansas says we can do it further. So there will always be a 7-day declaration. Every declaration you get. On the COVID one, they came back and said, we're going to quit doing that. We'll make it until it's over. But typically your declaration will be 7 days at a time.
Okay. So, once we do it for February, and by the end of Friday, I mean, February will be gone, so this would cover for the month of February then.
That's correct.
Okay.
February
And
2020.
let's hope the ice age is over. We don't do this again.
Yeah, we all agree to that. So, if we do it now, this will be for the month of February, and next Monday would be a new month. And so,
Correct. And if we would find a reason to extend it, then we can surely write another one. That's easy to do.
okay,
There was a question about funding. This is not a typical FEMA funding, but it would fall under small business administration. So that's a whole different game. That's actually a loan and not a grant. But they're low interest loans. And the last low interest loan we had was in 2019 with flooding, and that was a 3.75 interest loan. You can't get those from a bank.
okay. So, does everybody have any more questions, or anybody have any more questions?
Randy, is there any downside or any downside to doing the declaration?
No, there's never a downside to a declaration. If you declare, that's fine.
Yep.
But in order for this to become a state declaration, first of all, we have to meet a threshold, and our threshold in Marion County is $46,000. That's designed by population. The threshold in Sedgwick County is several millions of dollars because of the population. Once we meet our threshold, then the state of Kansas has to meet their threshold, and I think their threshold is like $4.5 million. If we're talking about damage from winter weather and things like that, and utility bills, that should be easily reached once we start adding all of our major cities into it. Easily reached. But with any FEMA declaration, you have to go to your insurance company first and see if they'll pay anything before you can claim. Because they won't pay if an insurance company is going to pay. It's double dipping, and we know we can't do that.
Okay.
Very helpful, thank you.
And,
What is it?
and a lot of people don't have insurance for this kind of thing. Most people don't.
Go ahead, Bill, anything else?
Oh, I thought you were about to say something.
I'm just wanting to make sure that, do we have to state on it that possibly get into utilities bills due to this weather? Do we have to state that, the part of the declaration?
No, it's because of severe weather. That the severe weather is broad enough; it'll cover everything.
Okay. All right. And
That would be 2106.
2106. I make a motion that we pass disaster resolution 2021-06 concerning the weather, the cold weather in the month of February of 2021.
Second.
Have a second by Jonah. All those in favor, and I'll call you by name, say aye. Kent? Becker?
Aye.
David Mueller?
Aye.
David Profit?
Aye.
Jonah Gary?
Aye.
Randy Dolphy? Aye. 5 ayes. Passed.
Okay. The thing to remember for the general public and businesses is that once the state makes the declaration, we have to do what's called damage assessment. So we'll need to start seeing figures from them on what their costs are. So if they're listening, those are the things I'll be looking for once this happens.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
It's
Randy.
email, even if you can just email that to me, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, just forgot to really ask whether anybody else had anything to add besides that today. I wouldn't mind putting that on there between after public comments, before we get into administrative business, just right at the top of that, any agenda additions. Just right there, we'll go over it, it'll be right on the agenda. If anybody has anything, that way it'll be right there.
Okay, and I noticed the past couple of times we haven't had I mean, it's been a long time since you've had any public comments at the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave that at the beginning and the end, or just put it at the end? I mean, it doesn't matter to me if you change it at all, I just was curious.
In predicting that we're going to change the meeting, I think that at the end is probably just sufficient, because that's more closer to when people get off work and they'll show up, you know.
And I've had one that's watching the meetings that hasn't put anything up yet. And I said, well, you know, you can put it up there on the chat box and we can see it.
Yeah.
And then when we get to it, we'll get there. So I don't know, that's something that we need to express too, that they can put it on the chat box if they're online.
Yeah, and then when it gets to public comments, we'll read it off.
We can address it too, so yeah,
I mean, we don't have to make a change, I was just curious, because
Is
it just,
anybody-
It's good to have it at the beginning for people who come.
if they're sitting here, yes.
Come and sit
Yep.
for 2 hours, you know.
Yep, yeah, I do like that,
I feel
right
we
off the
ought-
get-go, yeah.
Even though we haven't had any,
Yeah.
I'd hate to change it, because
Yeah.
right away then.
You
Yeah.
have 3 people.
Let's leave it on there for a while, so we get, so maybe when we get back to normal.
What's
Just like
that? What's that?
Okay, alrighty. So, moving on then. I seen he just got up and got out of his chair, Mr. Road and Bridge Foreman Bryce Goble, Superintendent Engineer.
And you're all
Really? Really? Chop, chop.
Wow.
Could have whistled, I guess.
He knew what you meant though, didn't he? You got a smile.
I'm actually talking about business out there too, so, yeah. All right, now that everybody's got their laugh. First of all, fuel pumps. You asked about time savings and stuff like that. I contacted Hoydale, and they contacted Gas Boy, and they said there's really no way to determine what time savings would be, because every place is different. How many vehicles they have and stuff to that effect. It's tough to say that you'd save X amount of time for each one and things like that. But what we did come up with was, on average, Terry said he spends about 6 hours a month working on that. So you put that together and hit with his overhead stuff like that, would be about $120 a month, which wouldn't add up a lot, but I think probably the most important thing that we're concerned about, we had the problem again today, being short 400 gallons. So we have to go back and spend that extra time trying to find that information. I think that in itself is going to be huge. And the fact is that with these paper copies or whatever else, we just never know. So, but anyway, that was.
Yeah, I understand taking away the human
Yep.
element out of that
Yeah.
normally creates some kind of efficiency.
Yeah.
It's
But-
hard to put a dollar, I'm sure, on
Is
that.
there a, as far as, is there an override, manual override? So, I mean, rather than say network goes down, communications, interface quits, do you have a override?
The only override we would need would be power, and I currently don't have a backup generator. So we're the same situation now. Power goes down, we can't get fuel.
Right, so I mean, is the network internal on the pump itself, or is it connected
It's in that gas boy, and then it's sent over there. I don't know the specifics about that, but it would be no different than that we'd have to hook it up to a backup generator.
Right.
If we
Well,
went to that sense.
I was just saying, if communications went down, could it still operate if it still had power?
I'm, you know, based on that, I'd have to find out, but I'm guessing as long as, it's going to be stored on a laptop or a server, so hoping, you know, that it would make it to that and then be backed up.
It's just something to think about, you know.
Sure.
Get to these cold weather days and maybe our grid went down, and then we need these guys out cleaning our roads, and they
Yeah.
can't fuel up their stuff.
Sure. Well, and honestly, that's something I'm looking for this next year's budget, is to get a big enough backup generator, because we're the same situation. If we can't fuel up or work on our equipment, we can't be out on the roads, and that's where we should be, so.
Yeah.
Now, then if you do get power and get it to the pump for the motor to run, you gotta be able to turn it on.
Yeah, if your network isn't communicating,
Yeah.
you gotta have if you got an option to get an override, I would strongly suggest that.
Yeah, I
That's
see
where I'm
what
going.
you're saying.
That's where I'm going
You
with
need
it.
a reset button.
Yeah.
I'm the
Control,
guy-
Alt, delete, yeah.
I'm the guy that loves to put in automation.
Sure,
But
sure.
I always put in a switch that goes auto to hand.
Yeah.
So that the old guy can still get in there and run his equipment.
And that's something we'd have to find out, you know, so.
Well, I think we want to prepare for it, because we've had an ice storm in Peabody, who was out for 4 days.
Sure.
And so I
Sure.
don't remember what Marion was at that time. I don't
Up
remember.
north, Lincolnville was out for 3 weeks, weren't they?
I was off about 7.5 days. Some people were up to 2 weeks.
Yeah, and you know, it's, the sad part about it is when that happens, everybody hurts. I
Yes.
mean, not just
Oh, yeah.
us, but it's the, you know, for
Yes.
instance, you look at the situation down in Houston and
Yes.
stuff now, so. But
Right.
anyway, so I just want to get back with that. I will check on that for you. And the other thing that I couldn't find last week that I thought I'd given you was the extra work for the, let's see.
Keep on.
Was the extra work to finish the spill buckets. That's what they call them, where you actually put the fuel in. There should be one more for Tina there also. And they come back and said that they would, follow that work order and everything else for a total of $8,218. So, as I said before, we need to go back and do some work on them anyway, because they're all cracked and broke on top. Just by the nature of where they are, they've been raised so high, we've had trucks go across, and every time you drive across one, you gotta worry about it. I'd hate to guess how long they've been in there. So, I guess I'd like to recommend that we do that at the same time, and then we'll.
Didn't they inspect that though when they did it?
Inspection is one thing, they don't fix them or whatever else, and I mentioned before, I spent several weeks last year trying to find out, we've got a notice that said such and such company was, gonna come and fix those, and when we paid the invoice, send the state back. I have found nobody that has any record of that, between Department of Revenue, Department of Ag, any of those. I think there's 3 or 4 different agencies, and the people that actually come out and do our testing, they had no idea about it either. So, strange.
Yeah, would like to tell the commission 2 things here. We're spending a lot in Egypt for the gas. I agree with that. Not so sure on the location. What happens if the shop moves? Bryce is not maybe in favor of moving the shop somewhere, but I'm just saying, what if the shop moves? We got bigger equipment, and I've seen it for 30-some years of county trucks in that corner at Carlson's, and then the school corners and stuff, and there are trucks coming in and out of there. You know, I personally don't think it's a great position, great place. It's there, but I mean, and here we're spending, what's our total? So this 8,000 gonna be?
That would put us up to like, was it 40, there was 37, so it puts us up about 45,
And that's
46,000.
that's just a small part though, of
Sure.
the tanks, if we had to move the tanks and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
but the last piece that we,
Pumps were moved.
yeah, the last piece we agreed to
Yes.
is not completely structural, it's just pumps, right?
Yes,
It can
yeah.
move.
It can move.
And to be honest with you, I mean, we always have the issues of our tanks. I mean, say they're in good shape now, next year they start leaking, whatever the case may be, and I don't know how you can quote plan or whatever else to do something like that. Unfortunately, we typically wait till something bad happens, we have to fix it right away.
But aren't those inspected on some?
They come out and basically just test, make sure they're not leaking. And like I said, we
But
have.
they don't have a set schedule, they do it every
It's-
year, every 3 years.
It's supposed to be once a year, I believe. And that comes out with the state and.
But all the inspection would do is if
There's
one year you were not leaking, the next year you were leaking, now you gotta fix it.
Yes.
There's
And
no,
then-
there's no prediction.
Yes, yes. And then they would in turn say, well, it started leaking, so therefore now that throws you in the next category of a, what do they call it, the heritage fund, or what, basically the hazardous places that have to be cleaned up, so. And unfortunately, when you get to that point, then the price typically goes up too, because of the unknown. When you take the tanks out, you don't know what you're gonna encounter down there either. If you've got tanks that aren't leaking and replace them, you pretty well know it's gonna be, take the tanks out and then do whatever else, so.
You're gonna have to excavate all the material around it too,
Right,
and
so
farm
you're
it.
gonna have to get the membrane out.
Well, and that's another thing I was concerned about too, with these cast iron grates and stuff on top being broke, they're gonna continue to break, whatever else. Will we ever get to the point of now contaminating our fuel? That's why these new.
I guess that's why I don't understand, if they came out and did a site inspection, why didn't they include that in the initial bid? They had to seen that they were.
Well, no, I specifically asked to do it separately, just so that we could, whether you guys didn't want to do that, we could still go with the pumps. I guess that's, but they said they would do the work at the same time and things like that. So that was just my recommendation when I went to both of them, so.
I get what Kent's asking. I wasn't getting it at first.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah.
But I separate them out so we can see the.
Yeah, I was looking at the inspection people as being somebody other than Haldale.
Correct. Yeah. Well, and that's, and again, I just said, that the covers of those are mandatory. They probably will become more mandatory down the road, but, these guys do this work too, and so.
In your opinion, it needs to be done.
Yes.
Do I have any other differences of opinion here, whether we hold off and not do it, or?
Well, for that amount of money, does that need to be a separate bid?
It needs to be done.
I had, both of them did, put that money in there, or, to figure that in there. So, even if the other company, theirs was, what, $50-some thousand, so they were way over. But that was the plan, is to fix those while we're doing this.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to proceed with the bid for Hoydale for the spill bucket in the amount of $8,218.15.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Mueller to go ahead with Hoydale at $8,218.15. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Dave Crowfoot seconds. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Kent Becker, 4-1 total here. Everybody else is good.
Yeah.
Um,
I was just gonna ask another question to see about them. As far as I know, some of their, sorry, Mr. Chairman, the reinstall, replace, remove, backfill, and concrete.
Mhm.
Do you know if they're using any local contractor?
I would imagine they would, I don't, but I'm sure
Just
we
around
could.
the corner from one. And
Yeah, I don't, honestly,
I
don't think it'd be a problem just to say, because honestly, as much concrete as they have to put in there, I don't know if they could mix that themselves and make it any more beneficial than ready mix.
Right. So
I can talk to them about that. These guys have been great to work
I would,
with.
I would like to see them use
Sure.
some of the local people,
Yeah.
if at all possible.
Yep.
That was
Can do.
what I was gonna ask.
Okay. All right.
Tina, do we need to sign, did we sign any of those others? I didn't.
I did, and then I sent her a copy of what I signed, so
All
that
right.
should be in the record.
Okay.
All right, there's that. I went out to try to find new bids for trucks. I went to Hillsboro Ford. I went to Midway for both Chevy and Dodge. Sent them the same specifications, asked for them to be back by noon on Friday, and the only response I got was from Hillsboro Ford. They quoted the F-150 4x4 Crew, which would be for the new superintendent, basically what we have now in the half-ton truck. with the, basically, I need to make sure exactly that, based on what they said, they did not exclude anything that was on there, but the price for that was $36,262, with delivery ETA of mid-June. And basically what they're doing is these trucks have, from what I understand, have pretty much been made. It's just a matter of getting them here. It's not like we can run them down through the line. And then the 3/4 ton 4x4 standard cab was at $33,350. So, like I said, I sent it out to them last time we sent it out to everybody, including Conklin and Toyota, and nobody responded back again. So I can't believe that even selling a pickup like that, even though it's a government contract, wouldn't be a little bit. I mean, they get paid a little bit just to furnish the.
What was the last truck?
3/4.
Was a 3/4 ton Ford standard cab.
Standard cab,
Yep.
okay.
That'll be a crew truck, and that was excuse me. Make sure you get these right. That was $33,350 for the standard cab.
These are both 2020.
2021s.
Okay. When you send these out, do you contact a person, or do you just, how do you do that?
I sent this out with a read receipt request.
Over
and-
email?
Yes, email.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't put it in the paper, but I assume that was the 2 local dealers in county.
Did you get a response of anything from both dealers?
That just says Hillsborough Ford, that was it. So
My only question is, did the other one not want to
they
do it?
no, well, I don't know. They got it,
'Cause
and I have not called back to see why they didn't. I mean, I
we get in
can.
trouble sometimes when we do something like this, and somebody didn't pick up their email or something like that. I mean,
I called over to Midway. I had Hillsborough's email. I called over to Midway. She gave me the email address. I sent it to that, and she did acknowledge that they had read it.
yeah,
So
I'm just,
I understand, and that's why I don't know. I mean, I know they always just get paid a little service to get rid of the truck, or to pass through the truck, but I mean, they're like anything else, they're trying to put their trucks on the.
but I'm not sure if any one of us 5 or 6 or 7 and sitting in here was the manager over there and got a bid request for a truck. I'd try selling them a Chevy, I mean, that's what they can sell.
Well, at Midway, they could pull in trucks from McPherson if they wanted to send them through.
Well,
That's
I'm just
right.
saying,
Yeah.
any general business would want to do it, and I don't understand why not. Unless there's something going on with
Struggle.
this.
The Dodges have to be serviced in McPherson.
They're struggling.
Right now, you can't get a new truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're struggling to get new trucks.
Well, I understand that, and that could be the reason why.
I went by Midway's lot this weekend.
Yeah.
They didn't have a single new pickup. Everything they had was used.
Yeah, and even the used inventory is way down because, people are keeping their stuff.
And
Two weeks ago, they was full, the whole west side was full of used trucks and.
That's
and
all
new
used
ones.
trucks.
Well, there were some new ones there too, but it was used, yeah.
They move them around
Yeah.
between their dealerships.
Yeah.
And but anyway, so I mean, I don't know, but it's.
See, Randy couldn't get a truck,
Wow.
Yeah. But if you want, I mean, I could try to do more, I just don't know what it would be, but
I think it's bid day. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta-
that's what I look at. I mean, and that's what I was said before, if they're not in by this time, if you send them in electronically and you have proof that they got sent prior to that date or that time, then we're okay with that, but.
And Hillsborough is local and family owned. It is a small.
Yeah. But anyway, so,
I hear what you're saying, Randy. It just, it's bid day.
Family, I mean, it's a business.
Yeah.
And they both bring lots of jobs, and we gotta support them both. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
But, I'm just saying, I feel, I'd sort of like to know if they didn't. I mean, I'm ready to move ahead, but, and like you said, bid day's bid day. And if they didn't, I guess maybe I don't wanna have that, we've had that problem
Yeah.
before, and it's come from when we're doing this kind of deals. I say, well, I didn't get it. Pretty soon we find out, oh, we never received the email, even though you say they did, so.
Hmm.
So I'm saying, I just wanna make sure that we do something with fair to everybody. So with that being said, does anybody have a motion for these two trucks? Or one truck, or?
Is there a reason why you need a crew cab?
Just carrying guys around. You know, if we go out and do a big group, we send them out and do that. Put them all
This
in
would be
there.
your truck.
No, this would be the one for the superintendent.
Oh, superintendent.
Yeah, I'm still okay with my truck, so. And that extra storage for some of the stuff that we carry too. The problem is with these bigger trucks is we can't get the full-size bed with them. And so you have to get smaller toolboxes to go in them, but I mean, it's the same as this truck that Jesse and Steve have, other than it's just a half-ton, you know, rides better and things like that, because they hardly ever, you know, pull things with it or whatever else. We don't need the 3/4 tons, so,
So the half ton is the crew cab,
yes,
3/4 ton is the.
standard cab.
It's a lot cheaper than what I paid for a truck.
I know.
Well, in all
That's
honesty,
government-
that's the whole thing.
Government pricing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if I can go show them my badge and see if I can get me a truck at that price.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wouldn't be happy with it.
Well,
I'm asking one more time does the commission care to move ahead? And if so, what you want to move, make a motion for what you want to do.
This in your 2021 budget?
yes.
I would make a motion to get to crew cab, a half-ton pickup. It's more universal utility-wise.
Except you got a
$36,000.
shorter bed,
Yeah.
quite a bit shorter.
Yeah. For the 36, 232.
232.
Okay, have a motion by Dave Crowfoot to purchase a crew cab, half-ton, four-door cab, at $36,232 even, is that correct?
262.
I had 262 on here.
Yep.
Okay, 262.
Weird.
What's the total dollar amount? Sorry.
$36,262.
Does the superintendent normally take people out on a daily basis?
Not on a daily basis, but we do quite frequently.
I'm just trying to get square here. You need both these trucks.
Yes. This would replace the superintendent's vehicle, which would go into the crew to finish up its life. The standard cab would replace one of two that are 250,000 mile plus trucks that are high maintenance for us. So it just swap when then we want to turn, take that truck and sell them Purple Wave or whatever else. So that was the plan.
So intending on getting both of these approved.
Yes, that was my plan, but.
Okay, I just want to be clear before I
Yeah.
approve one over the other.
Yeah, the plan was to get both if we could, so.
I thought we were doing either or.
Yeah. 'cause
No, it's.
If I was doing one or the other, it would definitely be the 3/4 ton. I don't care what the cab is. It's got more use.
Well, that was my question. I mean, you're giving up an awful lot of bed space for carrying a guy or two, 1 or 2 days a week.
It happens more than you think.
Well,
The
that's right.
supervisor
Yeah.
takes people around, and then there's a lot of things that you trust with your supervisor that's you keep out of the weather, and you throw that in the back seat so it doesn't get all rusty and destroyed.
I'm gonna go back and ask Commissioner Crowfoot if he's just wanting to buy one of the two, or was he wanting to accept both of them?
I thought we were just buying one.
Oh,
Right. As I said, it says, do you want to stick with that, or would you rather do?
Withdraw my motion. So do
Good.
I think you haven't gotten a second yet. You could always add to it, or you
Yeah.
can leave it on
Pick a die.
as it is.
it could die, so you could, if you would like to add the second truck to that?
Is that what you're asking for, both of them?
I'd like to get both.
Okay, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I thought we were just looking at one.
Yeah. So, okay, now we've got it clear, we are looking for two trucks. And Commissioner Crowfoot, you still have that motion on there, would you like to open your motion, extend it on to have the second
Yeah.
truck?
I'd like to add a 3/4 ton at 33,350.
Okay, now we have two trucks that, in your motion. And for the given price that Bryce said,
I'll second.
have a second by Jonah Gehring.
One more question.
Yes.
How many are you gonna budget for 2022 then?
Maybe just one or two again. You know, we think these trucks, the problem is that the other trucks that we have, they're all over $200,000 or 200,000 miles and wearing out, but that would be my plan, probably just one a year, you know, to kind of keep those in there, so,
And are they both diesels or both gas?
both gas.
Both gas.
Yeah, we like to stick with gas on them because we don't, you add a diesel, you're gonna add $6,000 to $8,000 in price, and it's not worth it for that kind of stuff,
That's-
for what we run around with.
That's a really good price if you can get a diesel for
Yes,
$6,000 to $8,000 more.
Yeah, so.
I was gonna say 16.
I would like to say to the commission, I know that there's advantages to having the trucks out there. I understand that. But our past leadership went and bought a bunch of the ones that's already had 100 and some thousand on them. And they're spread out all over north and south. And I'm not saying that that's needed. I'm just saying it's nice to have. I see a lot of driving with them. But when we was having meetings, coming into the meetings and things, do we pay the mileage? So I think what you're maybe looking at, Kent, is this a good plan? How many trucks are we gonna have? I mean, you know, we're gonna have one for everybody? No, we can't have that. We've got cell phones for everybody, and as you see right now in the paper, that's getting criticized for cell phones, so.
Yeah.
And are you the only one that takes yours home with you?
The superintendent does, because we're both set up for 24-hour contact.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't keep some of these older ones that you're planning on replacing? I've seen it before, you tow them behind a grader and have that kind of option where it's a grader could have more of a remote parking area and
Yeah,
run the truck back.
as far as pulling behind a motor grader, it creates the liability of now they're only allowed to go forward. If they ever have to back up, do what they need, they have to disconnect the truck. Now, we have trucks, we have a truck for 2 people up northwest, one over there. We have one in the central and one in the south that are designated for those areas, for those guys to come in or whatever else. Obviously, instead of driving a motor grader, they're all by motor graders. So, and to answer your question too, it wasn't really a question, was I'm looking constantly on Purple Wave and Surplus and things like that for trucks. Very, very few of them out there, especially for kind of what we're looking for. So obviously, we've got a couple of those from Surplus before that turned out great. So we're always looking at that because we can save some money. But like I said, there's just hardly any of them out
How
there.
many miles is the one you have on it now?
I'm at 30,000.
And you're gonna move that truck down?
Nope.
Okay, you're
Yes,
not,
I said-
just the other one?
Yes.
The other one, okay. The other single cab's going to one of your departments, huh?
Well, no, that's a crew cab that we're moving down to.
But the crew cab you're moving down?
Yes.
But the other single truck, where's it going?
It will be into the crew.
Yeah.
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 Well, and like I said, we'll try to get rid of one or two of the other ones.
Okay. Okay, so I still have the motion on the floor by Dave Crowfoot, second by Jonah Gehring, to buy 2 trucks at the prices given. Any other talk, discussion? Hearing none, ask for all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think everybody said aye, but I will say, anybody opposed, say aye. Nope, it's opposed, 5-0, 5-0, 5-0.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Rock storage, I've been looking at that place over there. I may have found another spot over there too. Question for the commission. Would you rather have me look to a place to buy or a place to lease for an extended amount of time? You know, buying obviously takes it out of the tax basis, but leasing basically has a finality to it down the road. Yeah, I suppose you could probably put in there to extend the lease. Just curious what your thoughts are.
I think I need to know locations again, because I've had a call again on this, and if we go down there to the south 15 and the church down there, well, not the church, the
90th?
90th, yes.
Yeah.
Mile east on 90th.
It's Tabor Church. right?
Or you talking about the one at Gossel?
The one at Gossel.
One at Gossel's on 130th, correct?
Not county line, just above the county line, I think. There's the county line.
No?
Talking about one down, way down south of Gossel.
Yeah, you're talking, when you mentioned to me, you was talking about the one down there with the correction line, where Schroeder owns.
Right, but the church is on 90th, 2 miles north of there and a mile east.
Yeah.
Right,
That's-
and so you've got a spot there?
No,
Okay.
no, we haven't went to any church.
Right.
That's
No, I was
confused
thinking
with-
I was thinking there was a church there, but there's
No.
not. No, just the county line,
Yes, I was looking at that. The problem with that, it's only 9/10 of an acre. And based on a scale measurement off of Google Earth, it was only like 156 feet wide at the largest area. I don't know if a full-size truck and trailer would be able to get in there and turn around in a reasonable, that's the part that I
Okay.
got to looking at, so.
the comment from somebody that lives in that area is, we'd rather have more sand down there, and if you're gonna stockpile anything, we'd like to have sand down
Sure,
there, so.
and the deal with sand is, to say we stockpile sand down there is, it's almost just, to go down and get it and bring it back and dump it right there. Part of the reason why we stockpile sand is, in the other areas, is because it's a lot farther to get there.
Okay, so now where are you looking at, if you're not looking there for rock, where are you looking at?
There's a place 2 miles north on the west side, it's kind of a little grassland pasture that I'm to check into also, so.
2 miles north of that?
Yes, just north of 90th, but that, and when I was driving back yesterday, I saw another spot, it was up by 150th. So I wanna make sure to get the most advantageous place we can, if that's the case. But like I said, I'm not talking about a huge amount of acres, whatever else, if you wanted to buy it or lease it, if you had a preference either way, or just wanted to go by this, once I determine the best place that I think is.
Maybe
So.
for the best of this commission, we'd like to see your locations that you're planning on before we do too much, so we all know where all of them are over the county.
Okay.
So what is bare minimum, 2 acres?
It's all gonna depend on the size, whether it's gonna be square, if it's really, like this one here's where it's really long and kind of restricted. Biggest problem you've gotta be able to, because a lot of this material could be coming back on big, long semis, and I don't wanna pull them in there and cause difficulty or damages to them turning around there, so, I'll try to get something back next
Show
week.
us a map with all, so we can look at it too, same way you're looking at it, and the public can look at it too, that we're trying to get in the center of the used area that
Yeah.
we're gonna haul that rock to.
Yep. Okay,
I would
All right.
appreciate that.
yeah, I'll get that back.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know if you're gonna get into the crushed concrete or not today, but,
Yes.
refresh my mind on, do we take bids on rock crusher?
We did, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I got hammered about it, wanted to know why they were left out. I just wanted to make sure
Sure.
that we did do our due
Okay.
diligence.
What else you got, Bryce?
I would like to talk to the commission about possibly adding a new administrative person to Road and Bridge. Be a combination of requiring a CDL, basically just like all of our employees do, so be able to drive a truck. They could also be maybe a person that could help out with the engineering and technical related stuff as far as specifications and stuff like that, to make sure we're keeping up on that. As well as they could also be a full-time inspector for our projects out of the field, with obviously supervision by me. And then also be able to help manage the trucking and aggregate stuff to that, make sure we're keeping track of that. We've talked about the design work and stuff like that we've had to sub out in the past because of the time and stuff to that effect. I'd like to see if I couldn't find a person that would be able to do that also. I just let you know, I'd like to come up with a position description and bring it to you guys and let you look at it, see what you think. I have the one position administrative that we still have as a foreman. So, but anyway, just.
I'm gonna open this up to the commission real quick, like, to sort of get some background, especially for Dave Mueller, that hasn't been here very long. Okay, when you was hired and And we had 2 administrative people underneath the supervisor at that time, go ahead of you, and they left ahead of you, correct? When you got here, we went to 1.
Yep.
Okay, so with that being said, we left the pay alone for that person that's being here. I don't know what you put Steve, I don't know if we signed something for Steve, did we?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know where it fell in with the old one, but now you're looking for a second one. And I think the commission needs to look at maybe the whole plan here and whether we determine a different rate than what the single one was. If you have 2, you're gonna have another truck, you're gonna have a lot of expense.
And I totally understand what you're saying. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm looking at to put this person in a range to where it's appropriate for what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'll just come up with something, get back with you. If you say no, then.
That was my comments. I'd open it up to the commission whether there's wants any other kind of information from Bryce so that we can look at what it does
Yeah.
and things like that.
Okay.
I'm going to open up the commission. Any comments?
So is this a secondary road supervisor,
Well,
or is it?
that's what I'm trying to encompass exactly what I would want the position to do. So, again, like I said, I just want to let you know that's what I was going to do. I'll get back with you, obviously, and then we can discuss things more from there. So, all right. The high-risk rural roads project is due the end of this month. I sent you the information in there that one of the things that was in our local road safety program was that 130th and Indigo, basically a section correction. If you've ever driven out there, especially the area known as, it's kind of a bad deal because on the bottom side of the curve as you're going north, there are 3 mailboxes on the bottom side of that curve going around that way that the mailman pulls off into. On the top side, so we have people running off the road on the bottom side, including the mail carrier. We have people that actually don't correct on the top end and run off the top end. So one of the things we can look at under this project is to add widenings, whether it be a 2-foot widening or whatever the case may be. Those have been, studies have shown that they actually reduce a lot of the drive-offs at the edge of the road. And so we can put in some rumble strips or whatever else. And then my thought too was if we could get this corrected, I don't know if they would correct the alignment of the 130th because they come in at an odd angle to what the road is, but that might be something to look at. And then the other thing is since we've had the history of accidents down in our south of 120th, was that we could probably go back and do a change order or get the material from them and actually put some widenings in ourselves at that area where we put the rock. You know, we had a big drop off last year. So we could actually get the material there and wouldn't cost us near the amount to, the HRRR project would not cover that because it wasn't specifically addressed, but I think that's something we could do within the county. So that was my plan. I will get the documentation sent in for that as to what, based, I think you guys have the costs and everything else associated with that. We'll have to determine exactly what we want to do, but it would definitely be the widenings. I also will say I contacted the post office in Hillsborough because I don't really like it, and I don't know, she was going to talk to the mail carrier about seeing if we couldn't move those mailboxes up to the top end or into their driveways. For several reasons. Number one, the mailman wouldn't be pulling off on the bottom side of that super elevated curve. Second of all, the people wouldn't have to walk across the highway or pull up their vehicle to get into there. But when it comes to the post office, they have to be 110% behind that. So I am going to go over today and try to meet with her to discuss that. But you know, again, they say, well, if we have to change our route and we have to add 2 miles, it adds anyway.
Yeah.
But if we can work together, that's another thing that the committee will look at is if we're working to help, you know, make things other than the runoffs on the edge of the road, as well as making the mailbox safer. So anyway, that was my plan, unless there was something else that was very, very obvious that, you know, they really like the idea that that's the reason for the local road safety program is determine these areas based on subjective, accident data and things like that. So I think it will have a very, very good chance of getting selected. So
What's the cost share on that?
those are 90-10 usually. So, I mean, and a lot of that depends on, like with anything else, if they're not a tremendous amount, depends on who else turns in projects, they can actually come back and fund them at 100%. So it's a very good program, and they're using federal safety dollars is what they're really doing. So but anyway, that was
The
plan.
other one that we did was on Nighthawk. Is this the same program?
Well, yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
We
Not
did
on the
have
correctional line.
some deaths and things on that down there. It has been a great improvement to that
Yep.
that road. I mean, it's been a great deal.
Talking about the correction change.
Correction
Yes,
change,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It's been fantastic there
Yeah.
for that. I don't know what we have for traffic accidents on that curve. I mean, I don't have a
Well,
clue, right?
and part of the problem that we're facing is we're not finding out about these accidents.
Well-
If people run off the road and they slide off, they may or may not file a police report, because we've heard of down at 120th, there was 2 of them there that we never knew
Yeah.
anything about.
Right.
So that's the other thing, but the main thing that's very obvious about it is when you drive down the road and you can see the edge drop offs, and if there's been rock placed there,
Yep.
we got the same thing on 130th, we see people dropping off there too, but, so.
Okay, Russ, is anybody, you got something else?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
We went out for sign bids for the next section. They came back. Come to find out, we sent it out to National Sign and also BG Signs. BG Signs is no longer in business now. We got an email after we sent out the bid saying that they were no longer in business. So our bid come back from National Sign at $35,636.35. So I'd like to get approval on that so that we can get those ordered. They sometimes take 2 to 3 months to get in.
That's gonna be our only supplier going forward then?
Well, we have talked in the past, Wellborn provides signs, but they buy the signs from National. So I can't believe that they would be able to be any cheaper. The only other one that we've looked at is through the correctional industries out of Hutch. The biggest problem that we've faced is we've sent them a bid before. They had so many questions about, we have to compress the font a little bit because the biggest sign we wanted 36 inches. They come back and they want a sign that was 60 inches long. Said, no, we can't do that. So there is that option that we could go back to them, at least have 2 bids. They're like everybody else. It's just getting tougher and tougher in the market. So
I'd make a motion to go with, name of them?
National.
National Sign, yep.
National Sign for $35,636.35.
Second.
Second by Kent. All those in favor?
Dave.
Dave?
Dave.
Dave, okay. Good thing I said that. Second by Dave. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign? Unanimous. 5-0.
Couple more things real quickly.
Okay.
Concrete crushing, they're supposed to be up there today, putting a magnet on, and hopefully we'll start yet this afternoon or tomorrow on that.
Okay, I see you're starting on the north side.
Yes.
And yet we have a time contract on the south end. I'm wondering if we made a choice to get to,
No, the time is for everything. All that stuff had to be crushed up.
yes, but we have a land contract
Oh, right.
for the south end, and I want to make sure we stand to that and not,
Right.
not
Well,
have
that
any excess.
contract actually goes till next year. That was a 2 year,
Okay.
that was a 2 year lease.
Okay.
Yep.
Good enough.
Aware of that?
They're putting on the second magnet now?
Yes. I believe that he basically ordered in magnets to take care of that, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving stuff out of there.
Got word today that they're gonna start back up on 350th on our NRCS stream bank stabilization, be starting Thursday. That's the plan on 350th. As far as the pay app from last week, I'm still trying to get everything together for that pay voucher for them, so hopefully by next week. We've had some COVID quarantines, which haven't helped the situation, so work on that. And then I also talked with FEMA. I met or emailed her. She said she's about halfway through our paperwork. she may have a small meeting with us just to confirm a few things. And she said once she's done that, it's typically from a couple weeks to a month or so for money. So I'm hoping within the next 2 to 3 months that money will be coming in. But again,
That's our 2019 flood money?
yes, yes. I heard you say before you're dealing with the federal government, so who knows? Well, that's the same thing here too. So.
Only other thing I have for you, Bryce, and then I'll open up the rest of the commission, is roads for new houses. We have one down here start on South on 3rd Street down here.
160th?
Yeah.
160th?
Yeah. We used to see this before anything was ever turned over. Before any project was started, we seen an agreement between the county and that landowner. Is there anything like that today?
Sharon does have an agreement, or permits and everything else for that. The reason we did what we did was putting the big rock down there was they are in the process of building the foundation for it now. The way the road was and is very, very difficult to get trucks in and out of there, especially concrete trucks. Due to the nature of where we are, wet, cold, and everything else, we cannot rebuild the road. And so Sharon and I basically have got together and said that between the two of us, we will make sure that all that stuff is taken care of so that she has the documentation. And typically, we will not go back in and rework the road or whatever else until the house is done, or basically inhabitable, let's put it that way. So that when we do that, that will be later on in the spring, we can go in and clean the trees up a little bit more, regrade the road. We just made a access for him to get in and out of there with his vehicles.
Okay. And I agree with you. I know it had to be done. There's no doubt about that because that road was a mess and is. But I'm wondering, can you figure us a cost and get that done before anything starts out there?
Well, as far as rebuilding the road, that would just be through the road and bridge. That's going to depend on how much work we do in any one area. We're going to have to change some drainage down there because the drainage is silted in and things to that effect. But as far as technically the rock that goes out there, that is part of the landowners. They put the first course of rock out there and then we maintain it after that. So as far as what money that would be, I could get an approximate cost up until that point. But again, it's just going to be an approximate cost because we just don't know exactly what's going to need to be done until we get there.
Well, I thought it was sort of an understood agreement between the landowner that there was a cost for that, and I mean, we went ahead and done this already, but there's a cost for us to do this because they're coming in and bringing brand new road in, and we're going to have to maintain it forever, and so we would like to do that, and that was the cost for us to do that. So if it's 3/4 of a mile away, is the same as we're going to give them that instead of 1/8 of a mile away? That's why I want to see this
Right.
road agreements.
What we do is we work with them, and obviously it starts with Sharon because she starts that process ahead of time. Is to go out and determine the best access in and out. Now, this case here, he's that close to a paved road, he'd come this way. Some people actually can drive a mile to a mile and a half another way to get to a better gravel road. I mean, we work with them and said, okay, what would be your ideal way? Well, one guy said, I can go halfway with this rock road, but I'd really like to go a mile and a half that way. And I'm going to say, really? We've got a half mile here. I can do that. If you want to pay for a mile and a half of rework, well, most of the time they'll say no. So
I think I just want the commission, because we got some new commissioners that's maybe never seen this yet. And I'd like to keep us all aware of new houses going up in our areas and things like that, because you get questions and you got to answer them.
yeah.
They still pay for the initial rocking, right? And then-
Yes, and then we maintain after that. I was always told that they weren't charged for the reworking of the road, it was just the rock.
Correct.
It's just the materials. I
Yes.
thought.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, once they're put down there, then we maintain it after that.
And that's what I'm saying. Can we figure that cost out? It's done. They've already paid it when they go to build their house. Because they get their house done, we've already built the road. Maybe they won't pay us then.
Well, and that's why we do not do the work until basically the house is done or inhabitable, because that's when the house will go on the property taxes. And that's what most people would say, is I pay property taxes for access to and from my house. what we've said, that's what part of the reason why we wait till the house is built to put rock on it, because we've been burnt before in the past. You know, they want to get this road rebuilt and rocked, and then the house never shows up, so.
Well, and that's why I'm wanting to have a payment that's done and over with, and if it was $2,500 worth of rock, or $5,000 worth of rock for that, it's paid for, and you give them a permit and they go ahead. Like you said, you can't do it right now.
Right.
You're gonna have to be later, and you don't wanna put finished rock on down now to get them in. I understand that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that rock needs to be figured into their permit fee then.
Well, yeah,
Randy,
yeah.
what you want to know, if we put 3 inches of rock for a half mile, how much that
That's up to Bryce, whatever he figures.
Well, it ought to be a standard.
Well, and again,
Correct.
Again,
Correct.
so somebody wants to come in and say, I'm a mile off the road, it's gonna be X amount.
yeah.
Yes.
I think that's maybe a wise idea of putting that right on with the permitting fee.
I mean,
I thought it was.
That's how the electrical.
I thought it was already
departments do
done that way.
cities. You add the transformer fee into your
Yep.
permit fee.
I mean, you have
That
a
way the
standard,
transformer's
how much
covered,
rock.
not the
That way
labor to
it's
put it
taking
on.
care of them all at once.
Yeah,
Well, that's something.
what I thought.
Yeah, Sharon and I can put that together, because obviously she does all that stuff ahead of time, getting the permits and everything else for them, so.
Well, I mean, it's over with.
That's
Don't worry
what
about-
you want.
That'd eliminate ever getting burned.
Yeah. So, because there's 2 miles over on the west side of the county over there, has been wondered why we rocked it, and nobody lives there. So that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
That was started right about the time you started, but
Okay.
a little bit ahead of you a little bit. But anyway, I think you come in on the end of it. So I'm just trying to clear these things up, so
Sure.
when these people ask us, commissioners, these questions, we've got an answer.
Sure.
The other
Okay.
thing would be is I don't wanna use Brogy because it's government, but how many years is that house and so many property tax dollars before that house pays for that road again? The material. Do you ever get caught up? Or is it just all?
If we need to put this on discussion sometime, I'd be more than willing to do that and discuss what we need to do. We haven't looked at it for quite a while. The rule was we established years ago was they was put on the permit, and it was paid for then at that time before they started. We knew that money was paid. We knew that the road and bridge can build a road, whatever they think it's gonna take to get there, but they paid for the base rock and, they put base rock and the rock to do it, because it's coming from dirt road to nothing. And if it's already rock, there's not too much, it's already.
Well, I
What-
just
well,
was
I-
going off of, if it's think an average $1,000 property tax, for the house, not ground, not anything else. And it takes $10,000 to rock that
Sharon's
road.
on the call and she's unmuted there.
That means they gotta have 10 years of property tax in order to break even on
Well,
the below.
But the other thing is, if we go in there and build a new road, it will be built to a higher standard than what most of them have been, so it won't require as much maintenance down the road. Now, when it gets to be 20, 30, 40 years down the road, then yeah, you can be, I see what you're saying, but we can typically build it better than what we.
And that was the goal, Bryce, right
Yes.
there, just what you said, so that you guys don't have to come back and mess with that
Yep.
because the new house is down there.
Yep.
It's done once, and it's done for at least 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But then you want to build a minimum price house then? And you can either put a trailer house
Right.
in, or you can put a $1 million home in.
Right.
Can't-
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman, can we discuss this issue at another time
Yes.
when everybody's prepared?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I said, let's put it on the agenda at another time, to
Okay.
talk about that and stuff, so we can come up with a good plan. So we've got new people in every place, Sharon maybe even too, so since
Okay.
this has all been, so we can get this
Sounds
straightened
good.
out.
Okay.
Thank you, Bryce.
Anybody else have anything? No? Okay.
All righty. Jean Bateman, Department update. She's sitting right there waiting for us.
Good morning.
Morning.
A whole lot different than last Monday morning.
Sure.
I think the guy on the TV was saying minus 17 degrees last Monday morning, so I think it was Kansas. But February is kind of a slack off month in my office, except that's when all the heavy trucks and the commercial are due. And I'm working diligently on getting the neighborhood revitalization ready to go out. And then we send out delinquent personal property letters, so the phone is ringing right now in the office, so. And I kind of worked up a working cash plan so you guys could see where I was coming from on investments. Because we have a distribution that'll go out in March, and that'll be at least 2 million, probably more. Did I get enough? Sorry, Tina.
That's okay.
I'll get you mine.
That's okay.
And I try to keep enough funds on hand that if the world should go down the tubes, we could make at least 3 paydays and the relative expenses. And we have the most funds in Central National Bank because their money market rate is the T-bill rate, so.
Yeah, I think at one time we was asking, is there an amount of money that you can extend out later that you still feel safe of putting in for 6 months? Is that how you do it, or?
Yes, and at this, the world has just kind of changed in that, okay, we pay bigger amounts through the month, and and the CD rates aren't that great that I feel confident tying up our funds. The maximum we can go out is 2 years, and
What's the T-bill rate right now?
I think I looked it up and it was, I think it was 10.10, so.
So it doesn't make much sense to invest right now.
Yeah.
You
As
have
soon as there's a movement, then we will get more aggressive, so,
Yeah, you have it in the highest return place right now.
yeah.
You could equal that, but you'd have it tied up for 2 years at the same
Yeah.
same rate.
Yes. So,
Approved.
Yeah, well,
Good.
looks like it's all done.
I just thought maybe you would like to know kind of where
Yes.
we're thinking.
Sure.
Yes, appreciate that.
And maybe, this summer, if things have slowed down and the rates have gone up, well, after tax time, we will see if we can get things going again, so.
Any other questions by the commission?
Are we providing any money market funds for any of the other county banks?
Yes, I think we have money market, we have in Hillsborough State and Vintage. And we used to just keep a minimum because they always carried a bunch of our CDs. Now they don't have the CDs, so I think we have 200,000 in them. And I haven't looked at
So
their
do you
rate.
still reconcile pledging then every month?
Huh?
Do you reconcile
Oh,
the
yes.
pledging every month? Yeah.
Yes. Don't want to get in trouble with that.
Right.
And the 3 working banks that we use, we reconcile the pledging at least weekly, if not more often.
Okay, let's take, we've had some loans out. We've had the Florence Cottonwood Valley Bank, and then we've had the Burns Bank step up and some loans and things.
Leases
And things. Do you send out a chance for them to bid on this too?
Right.
Yeah, okay, good.
And right now, Cottonwood Valley Bank has 3 or 4 CDs, so.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted, so everybody, I know
Right.
that they step up and then, so I just wondered if everybody gets a chance to bid on it.
And you never know, it's usually your smaller banks that are hungry, so.
Yeah. Okay. I have no further
Outlay,
questions. Any other commissioner have any further questions?
Well,
Oh, we have that.
I like your statement there about being a prudent investor, 3 months cash available. That's still below what our accountant says we should have.
Yes, yes.
He says 4 to 6 months should be minimum.
Yeah.
Now, I know sometimes it's hard to maintain that, but I think that should be our goal, because a healthy general fund can overcome a lot of ills when it comes to a budget problem within a department. And we saw that last year.
Yeah, yeah.
2-year FEMA payback.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on 19, you haven't got to it yet, yeah.
So that's just imperative to have a healthy general fund.
Right, so.
Cool. Well, I have nothing else. Thank you, Janine.
Uh-huh. And I was putting this together kind of for Susan too. Because, okay, yeah, just my thought process, whatever she wants to do is her ball game, but I thought she ought to know. So, have a great week and keep
You
the
too.
sun shining.
Yes. Thank you.
It's jacket weather.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's 32 degrees and it's jacket weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, commission discussion on longevity plan. You sort of, this was just some information that I'd like to sit down and go over with and things at a meeting time and set it out for some longer time than what we have here. Unless somebody looked it over and wants to do something at this time, but I'd like to put it back on the agenda, and I was wanting to do it Friday to get it on the agenda, but I may be gone Friday. I have some, from what I heard today, I may be gone Friday for some reason, and I don't have to be here. But if the commission wants to sit down and discuss and hear from Tina, we'll help you through that. And
I'm just wondering, I don't say that it would, I'm just wondering if once we get the updated pay plan information, would that be helpful in working with this, or?
Oh.
I will let Tina speak up.
My thought is that this is a separate issue because they are not gonna be addressing longevity at all when we get that update. And so you'll still have potentially individuals that maybe should be addressed and haven't been, even after the new pay schedules come out. So my thought was if possible to address that before I give them the updated information of what we're currently paying or what our plan is to pay, then they can do the comparison based on that. And some positions would receive an additional bump possibly by being put on the schedule and others wouldn't. So, I think you could address it either way. I just think that if you don't address it and you do go ahead and get the updated salary schedules, you're still probably going to need to address some of these additionally beyond what the pay schedules are, because they still have the issue of the hire date versus position date. So, and that wouldn't move them at all, so.
These are the only ones out of all of them that we have.
That's the list that I was given, so of where we have conflicts on some of those.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Very interesting.
And I did not have, we do have information, there's a couple of others that aren't on what I put in your packet that are just like some people that have been placed into leadership, like
Right.
department heads and so forth. I don't know that you'd want to do that for, because if you were moving to a whole new role, I don't know that you'd necessarily need to go back to the day they're hired for the longevity, because that's a different kind of ballgame.
Yeah,
Take over leadership of a
That's where
department.
this longevity plan has been a problem since we put it in, is you do this kind of things and move, and then some people don't want to move because they may be due for a longevity deal here coming up, so a new position, well, I don't want to bid on it because you're going to take it away from me, because I'm going to have to start over. So it's been it's been a crazy thing to try working in and doing something with over the, I mean, we've done 8.
Since like 2013 or.
13,
Yeah.
13, yeah, 8 years.
Well, I think the commission's gonna have to determine whether they want to even continue longevity.
Well, and that's another thing after, yes.
And the new plan, you know, if you do, once we get that in place, which I'm scheduled to meet with Elena this week to get that started. But once you put that in place, or however you make a plan to implement that, it's not gonna address longevity at all. So you may have a person that hasn't received longevity based on their hire date, and maybe they're in the right place on the new pay plan, and they won't still be addressed.
Right.
And you see what that's the issue that we have, so.
And if you're in
it's
the right
just a-
position on the pay plan, then why should you go above it? I mean, less longevity, unless you want longevity, I don't know, it's, if that's the rate it should be, then that's the maximum rate it should be. So it's a long discussion, but I wanted to see how the board felt and how they, you know, gives us a heads up for a later meeting time on this, and keep the same information we can look at, or if there any more input. I just know that it's all started, we've had one employee sitting in there, hasn't been addressed for over a year, and I can tell you that person deserved it and has never been addressed.
There's a few others too that have had some kind of disparity as
Yes.
far as. So whether you address it now or later, I just don't want it to be missed, because it still wouldn't be fair.
Right.
So is there opposition to this plan from the other any other commissioners?
As far as the
To the longevity?
Right.
I don't know, I'd like to see the plan on this thing we got don't work, Dave. I'd like to see it adjusted.
I mean, to the proposal.
Proposal that, oh,
Right.
maybe
Is there
to those
opposition?
positions?
Right. or
Yeah, to the ones-
Concerns with the proposal.
Yeah, I think, you know, longevity is very important to keeping good employees.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
So-
but I don't agree with it. I mean, I
Randy said there's been issues with
Yeah.
it since they
Yeah.
implemented it.
So the information that I gave to you is based on some specific positions that we know of that
Yeah.
have had some issues as far as other people in the department maybe being advanced and then not, even though they've been here longer, or hired in at higher rates.
Yeah.
And so with the new plan that they are looking at, it does not address that at all. So implementation won't include any consideration of that. It will just, they'll be striving to get everyone placed at least at the minimum of the pay scale. And so what I've given you is just an approximation of what it would cost in a year if you go ahead and equalize the positions now. And then when you go into the pay plan and whatever the new information is where they would start. And it would be, you know, something that when you get your salary schedules and the costing of what it's gonna cost to put at least people into the minimum place on the new schedule, it would include the new numbers. So that's all I gave you here. I mean, I hope that makes sense, but.
One, just picking one off of a labor, that we may be at 11.91, and then if this was, this proper step, moving up to 80 cents more, or 90 cents more,
7 cents.
Yeah, it's only 7 cents.
No.
On that one.
11.91 to 11.98.
Yeah, but that particular position we know is gonna be addressed on the salary schedule.
Right.
Some of the others are possibly not, so. That's what I'm saying, that particular one that's on the low end, even though it's appropriately placed on, you know, within a few cents of where it would be if you went back to the higher date for the longevity, some of those positions, like I said, would get addressed additionally with
New plan.
the new plan,
So,
especially the ones at the bottom.
okay. What my point was, though, is even if you give it, you're still gonna have to address it on the new plan.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
Yes,
And
yes.
it'll probably go up.
She's just trying to clean house, because.
Yes.
Get a better.
I just want to try to get to a good starting point, but.
Right.
Put
and if
everybody
it's-
in the right spot, so that way when they move them to the next one, they're aligned in the right place.
Yep.
Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, that's, you know, what I would like to see, but obviously it can be addressed later or individually.
I got a question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between equipment operator 2 and equipment operator 3?
Generally, what kind of equipment they're operating. Mhm.
So the guy's happy on this one piece of equipment and become an expert after 10, 15 years, he should stay on. We get more money, we get more bang for the buck if he stays on this piece of equipment till he knows how to operate.
And
There's also a path where you can say that this person who's an expert on this piece of equipment is kind of a lead
Yeah.
in that area. So we do
Operator,
have an equipment operator too can be a lead position, and it's a little bit more pay because of their expertise. So we have that built into where we can utilize that.
one of the main threes was for crane operators and things like that.
Yeah, the operator 3, I think, was the crane and the track
They
hoe.
require special
Well, yeah, you gotta go to school.
certificates.
Critical fix.
Well, Dave, do I understand you? I'm just feeling that maybe you'd like to just go ahead and do what we have in front of us or something for the time being. But
Well, I guess I'm just asking if we can resolve the issue today,
Okay.
Now, if there's concerns that we need to further discuss, then I'd say we delay. But if there's not, then I'm ready to
I'm in
move
favor
forward.
of it.
I like it because it puts people in the spot they need to be in before the new pay plan comes up.
Yep.
So that way,
Yep.
the people that are gonna assist know where this person needs to fit.
Yeah, I mean, I see where Tina comes from. It'd be a great help to her before she starts having conversations with the.
Well, that's why I wanted to get it out here and see how
So-
you guys felt, because I've been hearing it and been seeing it, and I just wanted to make sure everybody.
In addition to our employees.
Well, and the big thing is that, as we all know, all these different departments have come in with needs, and we have to pay more than what's on the salary schedule to get these people in place. And we've been doing this now for the last couple of years, and that causes issues
Okay.
all up and down the board.
A proper explanation to the rest of our employees that does not receive nothing at this time would be that we are trying to place some of the ones that's been left out. And we are going to address the pay plan, and moving forward, we hope that we will put everybody in the proper positions. Okay? With that being said, I'd make a motion to pass all of this information about these positions and the people I have no names on them right now, but they're positions here. And so I'd make a motion to go ahead and pass this with the, I guess, pass them to set the proper step or position for pay for these employees in these positions. I don't know how to word it.
Could I,
Any better
ask
word?
for
So
an
the
amendment there?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead and make a motion to approve the longevity comparison 2021 dated February
There you
8th,
go.
2021, as presented in our Marion County Commission meeting, February 2022.
Okay, I would accept that amendment to
That
that.
way it locks it. That way it locks that to this, to that.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a second by Dave Profoot. All those in favor say aye, and I will ask you by name. Kent Becker,
Aye.
Dave Mueller,
Aye.
Dave Profoot,
Aye.
Jonah Gehring,
Aye.
Randy Dalkey, aye. 5-0. And
Thank
we
you,
will-
Tina.
Thank you, that'll make things a little bit easier as we
Thank
just
you.
start and it'll
Yeah.
address some
It was
issues
very
that have been
interesting, too.
ongoing, so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good deal. Moving on here. Let's try to get caught up here a little bit. Park and Lake. How'd you get?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Last time I was in here, we spoke about county price rates, so I went ahead and I made up this sheet here. If you want to take one and pass it on, it's pretty much has everything that we charge for out at the lake, and what those prices are, both county and non-county. There were a couple things that we were discussing changing, or at least just wanting to look at. So everything that we bill for out there should be on this list. As far as county goes, like fishing licenses, stuff like that's not on there, but as far as the county permits, everything is on that list.
Tina, would this be something we'd post on the county website for information?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Well, we have that meeting, what's that, the 4th for the website, and that is something that
Okay, you're gonna-
we planned on looking at getting on there, yes. I think as of right now, the lake hall information is on the website and the camping information is on the website, but that's it. The other stuff's not on there yet.
And the board might remember, we're transitioning to a new website, and so that's in the design phase right now. We'll be training, departments will be receiving some training and information on that coming up really soon. So.
Does the golf cart, does that ATV fall into the golf cart?
Yes.
I thought we were higher than that.
That's what the city is, isn't it?
The city, yeah, you can. I think the city offers a 1 year or 2 year. I'm not 100% sure for that, but I think the 1 year's 40. You can get like 2 year for 70 or 75. I don't know that for a fact, but I think that's what I've been told out
I
there.
guess that's where that 75 came to my mind.
Yeah, out at the lake is they have a 1 year and 2 year permit that you can get. Whereas as of now, we just have that 1 year.
This is,
Okay.
And from what I understand, we're kind of on the low side of what
As
comparable
far-
lakes charge.
Yeah. As far as camping goes, I think from my understanding, we are actually one of the lowest in the state. I think I
So that you can't do your half price rates for your people.
Yeah, so even that Passport America, you know, they kind of suggested that we didn't because we were already lower than everywhere. In fact, our full price rate was still less than some places, 50% off price rate. But you know, with that, I think we talked about it. We don't have sewer hookups. A lot of our hookups are still 30 amp and not 50 amp. So there are some things that, you know, I guess differ between the different bodies, but as far as our pricing goes on camping, yeah, we are pretty far down there.
Do you have a recommendation?
You know, it's hard to say, honestly, for me. I think if we were to upgrade some of our, you know, our pedestals to 50 amp, and if we maybe got some sewer hookups, then the price raise would be justifiable. I think, you know, to change it right now, I think that's why we attract a lot of the people that we attract, is because our price is where it's at. You know, and I'm not gonna say if we raised it a couple dollars that would change anything. It very well could not. But I do think that a lot of the traffic that we get come out to the lake because we are lower. You know, we might not, you know, there's a campground that we have that doesn't have water hookups, it's just electrical hookups, things like that, which I think if we raised the price for and didn't change any of that, we might get a little bit of pushback. But, you know, it's hard to say without experimenting with it, I guess.
You don't know until you do it.
Your recommendation would be not to increase price until you had something to show for it.
That's kind of what I would think, yeah. You know, and
It'll
kind
also
of
make it easier on you if they said anything.
Well, this is why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that kind of goes with, because at the lake hall, we're in the same situation. You know, even if you look at like the city building down here, they're significantly higher than we are out there. As far as renting a building goes anymore, I mean, it's not a cheap thing, and we're lower than about anywhere. But same situation goes for the lake hall. You know, the flooring is rough, it's cracked, it's outdated. The ceiling has stains on it and stuff. We don't have Wi-Fi. And all that stuff we're slowly trying to change. We are working on a project with Lloyd right now to get Wi-Fi to the whole hall. We did the electrical in there, we upgraded the electrical in there. We're now looking at possibly switching out some of the lights in there. And I think if we did that, then yeah, you could raise the price and it would be justifiable. You know, and that's kind of the thing with where we're at right now at the lake, is a lot of the stuff is getting to the point where it needs updating. And I think if we do the updating, then the pricing can follow right behind with that.
I wonder why we're not doing some of our COVID camps out there.
Say that again?
I wonder why we're not doing some of our COVID treatments out there.
The pods, you mean?
Pods.
accessibility and
Centralized location.
I
Yeah.
didn't wonder, I mean, it's a big building, and we got the heat, we got everything, I'm just asking questions.
We got the trailer, because they could bring in the network connection, right?
Could something, Wi-Fi, that'd be.
That's the Wi-Fi, you know, but the trailer should be mobile command, should.
Yeah, Randy's got a portable Wi-Fi.
Okay. So it would set up out there?
Yeah, just, I don't know, discuss more, if there's more population on this half of the county, or there's this half, or
I just.
it's Randy Frank.
I just figured it was more of a centralized location for the whole county.
Yeah,
What, Hillsborough?
Yeah.
Based on population, it's central.
yeah.
That's, if it was central, it'd be Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I say, it's whichever way, but I'm just saying, we have the building, and we can lock it up, we should be able to do our own thing, so. It's closer to the two hospitals, well, one hospital, I mean, one
Yeah,
hospital moves.
6 to 1, half dozen
Yeah,
another.
it don't, you know, but I'm just saying it should be a location that we could think about to move vehicles through.
So Isaac, do you have plans to upgrade some of the sites with electrical?
You know, as of now, I haven't looked at really doing any big planning. I talked to Josh Inlow with the water district there for the improvement district out there. At least just to see, I know we discussed about possibly looking at sewer hookups. I did talk to him about that, just for the campground right there behind the lake hall. He said it would be extremely easy. He said if we want a price quote for it, we can, but we have our dump station right there. He said he could pretty much run a gravity line from there through that whole campground if we wanted to. So that was something he said if we wanted to look at further, he could get something written up for me, but he said as far as the work goes on that, it would not be expensive. You know, as far as, there's another campground that right now has electrical and not water. To get water to that campground, that upgrade would be an expensive. Yes, I think due to rock and some other things that they
Some
ran
rocks
into.
out there to dig in.
But he said as far as getting a sewer thing, if we wanted to do that in that campground behind, it wouldn't be hard. As far as upgrading our pedestals, at least the ones behind the lake hall there from 30 amp to 50 amp, that's not hard either. You know, my big concern was they said at first they didn't think it would be, you know the word that I'm trying to think of. It wouldn't hold the 50 amp because it's only set up for a 30 amp.
Right, the ampacity.
Yeah, but it actually is.
It is.
So
Okay.
what we've done so far is if we get those pedestals damaged or something, we've just been replacing them. As far as looking at a whole replacement, I haven't gone that far.
Let me ask you this, does a camper, when they pick up from a week there or so, do they pull over to the dump station and dump them usually before they leave?
Yes.
I mean, if we put dumps to each one of them, what I'm getting at is we're gonna have to negotiate with the board, the improvement board. If they're getting them all dumped, or if all the campers are dumping anyway,
They won't increase the volume.
they won't increase their volume any. That's what I'm getting at. So maybe we can come up with some reasonable, figures.
So are you asking us to approve the rates then?
No, I just wanted to bring it in to let you guys look at it and see kind of where we were at on everything.
When was the last time they were increased? Do you know?
See, I don't know
Remember
the
that?
answer to that.
Not on some of this, the tent camping was raised at one time. I remember that. But,
I mean, it's probably something we need to look at every year.
yeah.
Otherwise, we'll forget,
Yeah.
it's out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
The one that's not on here is trailer house camping.
Yes. Trailer rent?
Trailer rent.
Yeah, that is not on here. You're correct.
That's the one that's always pretty touchy when we do something with that one.
That's why I didn't put it on there.
They want to give you the chance to raise it.
That's your
That's
first
been
rating.
a
What is it?
while. It's been 6-7 years. since
What
we've
is
done
what
it.
is that one? Just for, is it
It's 100. It's the flat rate fee is $1,200 a year. It's $100 a month. That being said, and that comes with electric and water provided. Gas, if they want gas, they can get that hooked up, but that's on them.
So they don't actually own the trailers?
They own the trailers, they don't own the lot.
Right.
And
It's a
so,
heck of a
It's
deal.
lot written. utility.
now with that, there are certain restrictions. I don't
Yeah, they can only be there so much.
They can only be there
gone.
so much, they can't run pressure washers or things like that. And then there's also certain electrical appliances like space heaters or ranges or electric water heaters. That actually raises their monthly rent if they have those in there. $25 for
Oh, yeah.
certain things.
There's a few that comes through the winter, but there's a bunch that never show up from the last hurrah in the fall till spring opens up.
Yes.
Then you never see them. But there is a few that comes out and stays through the holidays maybe or something.
Yeah, come out and
Yeah.
check on things, maybe
Yeah.
stay a couple nights, yeah. That does happen throughout the winter as well.
So that's one reason why that the rates have been sort of, we don't get to use them all winter.
And you very seldom see one for sale.
And when they do, they sell pretty quick.
I think I've seen one. That's been a long time. I'm not out there very often, but.
The overnight tent camping, is that pretty reasonable, or I mean, is that high, or is that cheap?
I think our overnight, you mean our, like the $7 and $8?
Yes.
I think that's actually pretty standard. I think we're doing pretty good on that. It's really the electrical that we're low on.
Okay.
And pretty much everybody I've called and talked to has been over where we're at, Some of the smaller lakes aren't a whole lot over, maybe 16 to 18 a night. A lot of the state lakes are all up in the 20s, mid-20s. There's some in the high 20s. And so, I mean, we're pretty significantly lower than everybody else that I've talked to.
You know what they're charging for outdoor storage out here at the reservoir? Whiteman's, I guess that is.
I don't.
I mean, I'd be curious to know what they're charging for people that just park their boat out there so they can hook it on when they get there at the weekend.
Yes.
Gotta look at it twofold though too. You're drawing people in because you got the best rates. You're also selling more groceries. There's a lot of things that, there's also the claim to fame to say, well, cheapest around, come see us, right? I mean, drawing people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't always want to be the cheapest, so
No, but I mean, if you're not hurt.
you want to be the best.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing that we probably don't know on the other side of this is just how much does that water and how much does that electric cost us when we're using it in the middle of summer? I mean, we can see the bills, but I don't know, your total year bill versus.
What we're drawing.
Yeah.
I don't know, there may need to be a little analysis done to that at some point in time, because it gets to be.
Each campsite's on a different meter.
I don't know, because we've tried to figure that out. Actually, Josh and I have sat down and tried to figure it out. And because that was a question that I had for him was, just for my own curiosity, is how much water is coming from where. I don't know if they know that. If there's a way for them to at least be able to tell which campground and how much water is being used at each campground, I don't think they can tell, because I
What's the
think
meter?
But you can put a water meter on each.
But there isn't one there now.
there's not one on there. So I think you can't tell, well, this is just coming from just this campground. It's this area.
You
And
got one meter for their lake.
I think something like that, yeah.
It's hard to tell if you got a leak somewhere.
Well, and that's actually what brought the whole thing up, is we did one time and we had a hard time figuring out, and he
Right.
brought it up to my attention that
Yeah.
we were running a lot more
Yeah, it's
water
over
than
here, over
normal,
there.
and we had to go and search for it.
Yeah, if you had a meter, at least it would look.
Yeah.
It would isolate down where you're looking.
But that'd be a lot of meter bids.
Oh, man.
Each meter costs money.
Yes.
I guess I'm gonna charge a minimum.
Well, no, I would just get your own meters. Get your own meters, put them down there. Then you would kind of have your own information.
Well, I have no recommendations. I mean, I just know that some of this hasn't been looked at for quite a while. And like Kent said, where do we go? Do we try 15, 16 instead of 13, 14 for electric? Raise it up to,
What percent are you full during the summertime?
Memorial Day, Labor Day, Labor Day's usually full, and then 4th of July weekend, we're almost always full, and then our Bluegrass Festival, we're always full. So it's,
Can you charge more for a holiday?
Yeah,
well,
that's what I
and
was
that was
about to
another
say.
thing that we've talked about. You know, I don't know.
Since you've, hotels do
Yeah.
that, if you
Yeah,
pull up,
it's-
you're not driving anybody away.
We haven't thought about it for holidays. We haven't really discussed that, but we had discussed it for the Bluegrass Festival. And it was just something that we talked as the Bluegrass Committee that we looked at to see if it would maybe be a possibility. No, we never made any decisions, or I never brought it up.
For the
because-
committee to make more money, maybe.
Well, and that was something they wanted to, is what we were looking at, because what they were thinking is, oh, well, maybe if we charge $2 extra for camping on that weekend, then maybe some of that $2 could go back to the Bluegrass Fund, because right now that camping, all the camping on that weekend, it goes, back to the county.
Yeah.
And so they were thinking, well, maybe if we raise it a couple of dollars, then the Bluegrass Committee could make a little money off that camping, but it's nothing that ever turned into anything. We just discussed it.
To your
and-
question though, Dave, I will tell you that there's people that want certain spots out there enough that they will be there the week before
Yeah.
and camp all week through
Yes.
up to the next weekend.
Within the
Well,
price, yeah.
And that's what really, I mean, that Bluegrass weekend, if you look at it, even just from our monthly revenues, it's huge for camping fees throughout
I
the
think
summer,
you
just
should
that
bring, you
weekend.
should bring a recommendation back from that committee and we could approve it.
Okay.
Maybe the committee could rent all the camping spots and re-rent them.
Well, and that, like
No.
Randy said, part of that's gotten so big is because we fill up so quick, so people have come in, the week before. And honestly, like 2 years ago, when the last time we had the meeting, our campground, that's a Saturday, our campground was completely full the Tuesday before. So,
Like Winfield.
yeah, right.
People come a week early.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it's turned into. But that, as far as raising the price rates on like holidays, that's really the only thing that we've ever talked about, but it just never really turned into much.
You could always not raise the price rate too, if they came in 2 days ahead of time.
Early,
So that way you get
yeah.
2 more days out of them,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like,
It gets complicated.
Yeah.
but Kent, what do you think?
Maybe
I
not.
think we need to review this time of year
Okay.
going forward. And, if your committee wants to make a recommendation
Okay.
about special events, have at it.
Yeah.
We're all for,
There's a lot of volunteers.
giving you some liquidity.
There's a lot of volunteers. Those people spend a lot of time. I've been involved there a couple, and it's always 6 months ahead of time they've got to sign their bands up.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, we've already started having meetings for this year's event, so hopefully we'll be able to do it. But yeah, we're meeting again March 13th, so I'll bring that up to them and we can talk about
When do you do that?
When do we meet?
No, when is the event?
Well, it's normally in June. Last year we talked about changing the date because of the whole COVID thing, but
It's hard to do.
yeah, exactly.
Something every weekend.
And that's what they've been trying to figure out, because the weekend that we've had it scheduled is the same weekend as the Washunga Days over there in Council Grove. And that's kind of,
We're canceling Chinkawassa Days again this year.
Yeah.
You want that weekend?
oh, you guys are canceling?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, it's something to talk about.
Can't get a commitment from the national bands. I mean, just,
Yep. You know what that is. yeah.
and if we cancel it now, we don't have to pay any money to the bands.
Yeah.
But if we sign them up and we cancel it in May, we've got to pay for the bands. So we're gonna save our money.
Okay, you want a recommendation back from me for this year, Kent? Anything this year, or are you happy with what we're at right now for the rest of this year?
Well, I mean,
Any
if your
commission.
committee wants to do something like that, just bring it back to us.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
I don't know how the other commission feel about it, but
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
We're willing to listen. yes.
Okay, okay.
All right, thank you, Isaac.
Yeah,
Got anything else?
yeah, it's about the dock. I don't know if it
Okay.
needs to be an executive session or not.
Probably needs to be with Brad, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
contract negotiation.
he just stick around till after Carl's done.
Yeah, I can do that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. We're gonna handle him, then we'll see if Brad's here by that time, and
Okay.
go there.
Okay, that works.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you get a copy of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, how are you?
Kids growing up now.
Yeah. Got married? Ready? Yes.
Didn't expect him.
How we doing? Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, just cheer here.
Hope everybody's doing good.
Great.
We mostly wanted to do an update, but we wanted to talk about employees first if we could. So maybe if we could go in the executive session, we would like the county clerk to stay
Okay.
if she would.
All righty, for probably 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Maybe 15.
15
And we'd
minutes.
go from there.
Is this to discuss like performance or hiring or?
No, hiring.
Okay.
I'm still working on the performance part for the employees, so.
So good to know him,
Okay, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel hiring pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. We have personnel matters, non-elected personnel, with the board and Tina and Carl and Tina, not Tina.
Vicky.
Nikki, yes. For 15 minutes from
Yes, we're in the window, Chair.
11:03 to 11:18. By who? By Kent Becker. Okay. Second by Kent. All those in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5
Dave? So we'll wait for him to go to executive session.
Oh, okay.
I got scolded one time.
Okay, just a moment while I end the meeting. We'll be back at 11:18 for everyone on virtually.
Now I'll just figure it.
Not a second.
Yeah.
How many do they maybe get? Keep your time on
Was he?
This conference will now be recorded.
Well, that's a start, Carl. We'll, let you see what happens with your employees on hiring people. And out of executive session, nothing decided.
Okay. And just to kind of let you know, and so I know, when do you guys like your 2022 budgets? I mean, when do you?
We start that process, we'll start that process like the beginning of June. So
Okay.
that's, we generally have meetings with the budget preparer in sometime at the beginning part of June.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
And when does the contract end up, or when do we have to have a signed contract?
June 30, the end of June.
End of June.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and it needs to be in place for July 1st, and so a lot of counties, look at the first part of June
Okay.
and get that, and then we get that contract to the state and so forth. I appreciate your time. This helped me.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay.
Yep.
You guys doing a good job,
Thank you.
keeping us out of trouble.
We have a, let's see, executive session with Isaac right now.
Still sitting out here?
Yes. Isaac?
Sorry, do you want me to make a slip out for you? The topic on the top would be contract negotiation, and it would be under number 2.
Yeah.
Attorney-client.
I thought I had one in here for that.
You do. I've been trying to give it to you all made out. It's,
But I had one. I'll color it and everything, but I don't see it.
Okay, I'll make mine.
Okay, Brad, Isaac's requested this. Thank you and staff, so.
Yeah, I've discussed it, so yes.
10 minutes probably, or?
Yeah.
I think so.
10 minutes, good, okay. Move that we-
Got one.
Move that we recess in executive session in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for consultation with our attorney and matters depending on privilege under attorney-client privilege. With the board, Brad, Isaac, and Tina's gonna leave for 10 minutes. That one, we will start at 11:25 and be out at 11:35.
Second.
That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Okay, we will be back in 10 minutes.
It's been several years since we've been that cold.
Yeah.
People forgot to put the hay bale on.
This conference will now be recorded.
I was worried about that.
Okay, back in session. Out of executive session, no decisions made. We finished with that. Thank you, Isaac.
Thank you.
And moving on to Brad Jansen, legal attorney.
First item on your list today, as a board, is the transient guest tax, which was in your packet, noted as number 13. It's a charter resolution, meaning we have a slightly different approach than a single publication. In order to amend a charter, you must do an amendment with the charter and go through the same process, which is a 2 consecutive weekly publication and a 60-day time frame that amounts to a protest or a petition time period before it is considered valid. What we're doing here is taking ourselves out of the transient guest tax collection business for the jurisdictional limits of the city of Marion. It's their intent to create their own there or have their own. In terms of the process, we will cease to collect in the same quarter in which this becomes effective, which would in essence be the second quarter. So you've got January, February, March, and then April, May, June, the end of that term. We would no longer be collecting. That's basically what it accomplishes in this instance.
Was there anything in here that the money in there already is too much?
I don't think we
No, but
discussed that.
I don't know that you, I mean.
All it says is we won't be collecting any more.
Yeah,
Would stay.
So.
I think that would continue with us through the period of collection.
I mean, they can't come back and say, hey, we come back after any of that, okay? Yep.
No, it's legally allowed to be collected by the county through that period of time.
Okay. All right. Any discussion, any other further discussion that we haven't had?
The only side to that is we have supported some other activities through that transient guest tax for some of the smaller communities when they have a gathering or festival or something like that. And, you know, at the time, well, I guess we'll have to determine if we're gonna do that or how we're gonna do that. There may be some other avenue.
Right.
Well, we still have
All
the
the
ability
rest,
to do
yeah.
that. I mean, we have, I didn't look at the current balance of that fund, but it's pretty hefty.
And that balance stays with the county,
Yes.
the way I
That's
understand.
what I was talking about.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, it'd be years
It'd be
before.
It'd be a real opportunity, and I might be speaking a little out of term, but use the money that's left there, hit a community foundation that has an annuity that has a payout every year. And then you could do that as to that payout to gift.
Let them oversee those
Well, we
funds.
also have to take a look at the legality, because
Yeah.
there
Yes.
is specific statutes that outline what the transient guest tax money can be used for.
Right.
And so,
And also the way it can be invested.
right.
Like you had brought up once upon a time about community foundation stuff. So.
Well, I mean, and that's a possibility, but like Tina said, depends on the legalities, because transient guest tax is its own animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we would still be collecting if there's any facilities outside of Marion or Hillsborough that end up meeting those qualifications to where they are supposed to collect it. You know, that would still be under the county.
This is just for Marion, it's city property. And as to the foundation, I'd have to look at that, but if the county created one and we met the standards statutorily, there'd be nothing wrong with necessarily pouring it into that as an additional seed money or funding source for a county development foundation. We sort of had that before, and as we all recall, we had a little difficulty there in terms of where some of the money's.
And I believe
spent
that
in the right
transient
place.
guest tax statute only gives the options of it being overseen by the governing body or overseen by a
Independent
commission.
trustees,
It's specific about how that looks.
Yes.
It's like a, and I think it's even tells you how many board members and
Yeah.
everything you have to have on it.
You
so.
can delegate to that board, but
I was
that's
just
the
gonna
only
say, if there's
source.
nothing contributing to it again, if you can make it contribute to itself,
Yeah.
and you kept paying out,
Yeah.
then you,
And use the
yeah.
makeup to fund things.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know what the legalities are about taking that balance and investing it.
There are some limited things that we can do, and there's also a state fund that can be used for that purpose, but, so there are some options. They're just not as free as it would be in an open market.
I think what the deal is, and when we get to that point, then we need to look at all.
Decide, yeah, probably a part of your budget process.
Okay. All righty. Any other further things? Anything wrong with the, if not, I would, this resolution would probably be 21-07?
No,
No,
this is,
it's
here's
this
one.
one.
It's Charter Resolution
Number
13.
Charter resolution. Oh. Charter resolution number 13. Don't have anything else on it, does it? This be a charter resolution amending Marion County Charter Resolution number 11 that exempts the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Marion, Kansas from certain provisions of KSA 12-1696 ET sequence and KSA 12-16101 and providing substitute with additional provisions of the same subject relating to the levy of transient guest tax. That'd be my motion.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor, and I'll call you by the, does this have the yay and the nays on the back?
Yes.
Randy Dalkey, yay. Kent Becker,
Yay.
David Mueller,
Yay.
David Crowfoot,
Yay.
Jonah Gehring,
Yeah.
unanimous. I think we'd already made the motion.
Sorry, you got the second on that. Was that you, Jonah?
Jonah.
Okay.
Jonah.
Thank you.
Second page, Kent. What is for board commissioners?
This is the meeting time.
Meeting time.
That would be number 7, 2021,
I think so. I've got it written down.
07?
One was it?
What was the one we just did?
Yes, it's 07.
06.
Keeping track.
Regular meeting. Okay. I think that's-
Question.
I actually do too.
Okay,
This one asks for-
is that your next?
That's it. The next one is the discussion of change of meeting time with the draft of the resolution for that purpose. A couple of comments on it, which include some questions, and I think Tina may have one or two as well.
Okay.
When we discussed this, we discussed the end of month meetings as well, and the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sequence, which is Thursday, Friday. I didn't include that. I just noted that you have the power to complete freedom to go ahead and declare your special meetings. Now, I don't know if you necessarily want to do that way. It gives you a little bit of additional freedom if for some reason something works better to do it earlier or with a regular meeting anyway. So all I did here was the one that we mandatorily and statutorily need to address, which is how often is this board going to meet under the statutory scheme and at what time. A lot of them I found, I hadn't looked at a bunch of these for a while, but some of the ones I found from other counties include the opportunity before they even begin the meeting to have a half hour or 45-minute or an hour work session.
Wow.
I hadn't thought about that, and I thought, well, I'll bring that up in case there was any. I hadn't talked to Tina about that at all either. I just noticed it and thought that's interesting as a way of gathering some information, or if there's some questions and that kind of thing before you formalize the convening of the meeting. Something else to
Okay, so
consider.
let's say, and I haven't looked at the rest of the calendar here, but if the 31st or 30th is on the Tuesday, and this, in section 2, if a Monday meeting date is a holiday, no, that's a holiday.
Yeah, the only thing I put in there so far, and then also, I put the wiggle room in there that the chair can declare. And so you do have the ability, if you needed to change one, and there's nothing statutorily precluding you from doing so, as long as we have set a normal meeting time and date from which we would announce a deviation and notice it up
Regular meeting of
appropriately.
Rankin County Commissioners shall convene the business meeting at 12:30 unless an alternate time or day schedule is announced by the board chairman in advance of the meeting date.
Right. And that's whether we want to leave that in or not. I just put it there so you'd have that freedom. You're basically going to live with the schedule, but it gives you that. And then if it falls on a legal holiday for any reason, we'd be moving that to the next day.
And you
the
had-
next business day.
Statutorily, you only have to, basically the top one is the first Monday in each month.
No, it shouldn't say first Monday.
Every Monday.
Every Monday.
On the first Monday
says the first
in each
Monday.
month.
And that's well, when she made my last changes, we need to change that to every Monday. And it runs every Monday of the.
I was gonna say, there's a lot of freedom then.
Yeah.
If it's just the first Monday.
Yeah, no. Every
Yeah.
Monday.
But but
So
like.
we should say each.
Yes.
Okay. But then at the last of the month, then if that Monday's, and we're gonna have it on the Tuesday, if we're not gonna have a meeting on Monday then, and the payday's on Tuesday, what are we gonna do? Love the Monday before?
Make the declaration that, probably the previous meeting, if you want to do it that way, or I can formalize it in here. It's just that the more that I did, the more strident that becomes in terms of what you're saying.
How does the board feel about that, Tina?
Tina?
That's okay. I was just gonna say, I think that when you discussed this before, when you talked about changing the meeting times, you talked about if you kept payday, just on payday as it is, that you would just do payday and nothing else.
Correct.
And so in that instance, we would just be able to do it as a special meeting. You wouldn't necessarily have to outline that in here.
Right.
Okay.
And I
Then it
can,
would
it's
just
not a
be-
problem if you'd like that, but, because I just made the reference to special meetings to reinforce that you always have that opportunity, and it's noted in here, so if everyone ever read it, they can say, well, where do you get that?
So the payday meeting would be at 12:30 or 9 or what?
You can set that however you want.
It's not addressed in
I
here.
know it's not dressed.
Yeah.
And I did that on purpose.
And
I
that's
said
not
that
what
if
you were
wanted to use
talking
nine.
about, exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm just worried about the end of the month falling on a Tuesday or Wednesday, and we wanna have everything all combined. That's what I'm talking about, is just.
Payday and regular meeting.
Yeah. And only have one meeting then.
Would
That
be
way-
at 12:30 then.
Yeah, but
Would just be
the
part of
day,
that.
I'm just wanting to make sure that the day's okay, so somebody don't, because it says meet every Monday of the month.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, on here it says meet every Monday.
And you would be, I mean, nothing
Yeah.
changes about that.
Yeah, the only time you would have the extra meeting is if it was on a Thursday or
Thursday or
Friday.
Friday.
Well, I think what he's talking about is sometimes we skip a Monday meeting
Yeah.
because
Yes.
payday falls the next
Tuesday or
day
Wednesday.
or Wednesday.
But you would announce that the week before that next
Okay.
week.
Right.
That's
You're
been
right.
moved to,
Okay.
because you've
But
got
does it give
the
you
authority
power
to move it.
not meet on a Monday?
The way I did this,
Okay.
it does. It makes that declaration in here.
Does it allow you to, at the end of the last week of every month, move the only meeting from Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday?
Yeah, you'd make the declaration, it's announced by the chair.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So,
So-
I'm sorry.
County clerk, on the top of the headline on that third Monday, before we have the fourth one, and we're gonna have it on Tuesday, Wednesday, we'd make that up there, and make that announcement right off the top. We'd have to do that in order so that you.
I was just looking at,
Yeah.
I think they changed it. It doesn't say this anymore.
This is still just the language that I'd seen previously. so.
Yeah, it just, I believe a recent law change was that,
that
that
PSA?
19206 now says the meetings of the board when. It says the Board of County Commissioners shall meet in regular session at the county seat on such days and at such times each month as established by resolution adopted by the board and in special session on the call of the chair for transaction of any business at the request of majority of members. So they're not even limiting you to a Monday anymore.
No.
It's pretty vague.
Okay.
Good.
They've been really trying to speak it work
Just
with
to
this
say,
county rule.
okay, I can tweak that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Or I can send it back over to you.
So, this
Yeah,
cover-
absolutely, I know, I was just trying, when I was changing this, I wanted to make sure I didn't mess that
So we're gonna change anything on here? then?
First paragraph doesn't
In the first
matter at all.
paragraph, it should
I-
say each Monday.
Okay.
up. Well, and I think that in the first paragraph, we may just need to say
Just
that
mimic
it's
the
as
language, yeah.
established by the board,
Right.
if
It
that's
should
okay
say
with
each
you.
Monday, even though they aren't requiring it.
Well, we'll do, or as established by the board, we'll just mimic the language from.
Yeah, because since it doesn't require it to be on a Monday anymore.
That leaves everything loose, or
It gives, loose is the term we don't want to use. It leaves it flexible.
flexible.
Flexible. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I just don't want somebody questioning what we're
Yeah,
doing.
no, I
later
agree,
on.
I agree.
So,
So shall I go and change that first paragraph and bring it
What-
back and let you look at it?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Just, I'd feel more comfortable if we saw exactly what.
Okay. Are there any other, like, questions or changes that,
Anything else you want more specifically noted, like about your pay? Since I assume we're gonna continue to treat this as a special, then there's no necessity.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't say each Monday anywhere, then it really doesn't make
Yeah.
any difference.
Yeah. Okay.
It says.
Well,
more
in
like
section
it's-
one, it does. I mean, I've got you meeting in regular session on every Monday of each month during the year. But,
we're gonna change the requirements of the KSA, but
Right.
then it's like, right here, section one at the bottom.
Resolved.
Yeah, under the, what you're actually
yeah,
saying.
that's what I'm getting to your question, Jonah. That's the way it's worded right now. And then,
Once a week.
I put, and then under section 3, I put unless an alternate time and or date,
Deemed important.
you know, and so that gives you that freedom there.
Okay,
Okay, do you have an executive session for attorney-client?
Yes.
Okay, how long? And does Tina need to be there with us? What I'm trying to do is let Tina go fix that if you don't need Tina with us.
I don't need Tina to have to be in this one necessarily. Anything that will involve her, she would know about anyway.
Okay.
Probably, 10 minutes should be enough. There's,
About to die.
we took care of one of them already, so.
Okay.
With the vote now.
so is this just going to be, is this potential, pending litigation, potential litigation?
Potential litigation. We'll
Would be
cover it
your
all.
topic in the top, Randy, potential litigation,
Potential litigation. Okay.
and then attorney-client. is
The
your-
client is our exception.
Thought it was-
All right. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B for.
Number 2.
Number 2, consultation with our attorney in matters deemed privilege under attorney-client privilege. Week with the board and Brad for 10 minutes. That will be from 11:55 to 12:05.
Second.
Have a second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, back at 12:05.
I heard that.
It didn't announce it, but it is recording. It
The red
says-
light's on.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
speaker's off. Marion County.
Oh, our connection was out.
See you moving.
have to get out and get back in.
Click up on the image, your own image.
What?
Go to the Marion County image there. And then go to the 3 dots.
Oh, there we go.
Connected audio. There you go.
Resident IT man.
I'm gonna stop and
It is
restart.
recording now, right?
There it
I'm
goes.
gonna
Yep.
start it now, again.
There you go.
I don't know why.
It says record.
Yeah, it
Yeah, it does, it's just not
It's not
making
saying.
noise. Okay,
Got tech support on there.
that's us, actually.
Are we ready to
We
go?
can, yeah, we are. We can maybe just do a quick check to see if people on the call can hear you.
Okay, out of executive session, no decisions, and if you can hear me or something, please do check in, say, chat on or something that you're hearing us. We're checking our
I can
technical.
check it. I don't. You're
Sure,
very
and
pleasant.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hmm.
All righty. Out of, like I said, out of executive, no decisions, but moving on here.
If, on circling back to make sure we deal with this resolution for the change of the regular meeting times, Tina's made the changes to it. There's one other thing that I meant to mention and she mentioned as well. We should probably, I just put the general statement, this resolution shall become effective upon publication in the official county newspaper. I think we need something more specific than that. What meeting would you like this to start? Okay, so we
Because if
would
I
do-
put it in the paper today, that means
Sure,
you could
and-
start
and next week.
Right. Yeah. What's,
Do we have to wait until after the publications? That's
Well,
just-
it
Well,
just
once it's
says-
published, it's valid.
We only have to publish it one time.
This is just once on this one.
So we
Okay.
can do it on the 1st.
Start in March then. No, we
Yeah,
can start it even later on.
Don't we have some learning sessions?
Well, that's not until,
Yeah.
the only thing about March, the one piece of business that I had tentatively put on here was the leadership discussion that I mentioned earlier. So,
Okay, start the 8th.
you want, is that okay?
Yep.
Do the 8th.
Something's a lot on the Tuesday already. Is there something else on the 9th?
That, well,
Yeah.
that's our, this is, we have a meeting on the 8th,
Right.
and then on the 9th, that's our planning session with WSU.
Right.
From
Okay, got it,
8:30
got it,
to
got it.
12:30.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, so let me make that last change then, to change the effective date to March 1st. No, March 8th,
Eight,
sorry.
eight,
Ah,
eight.
March 8th.
March 8th.
Start getting invites to the calendar. I've got them on my calendar.
2 of them.
There's also a mistake or so in here that I'll highlight as we go through, but I added a couple of phrases from another one that I had done. And as we were reviewing it, realized we had left part of the language we didn't intend to in it.
Oh, yeah. It's fine. Yeah.
Application requirement there, but I'll put it.
Nope, I think that's exactly what I would expect. Yeah, that's great.
Okay. And that's the one you'll need.
Yep. Going back to the resolution, just to put that to bed, the change in the first paragraph from what you've already received. I'll just read that. Whereas KSA 19206 requires the Board of County Commissioners to meet in regular session at the county seat of the county on such days and at such times each month as established by resolution adopted by the board. And that mirrors what we've got in 19206 currently. In section 1, we talk about every Monday of each month during the year, but your latitude comes in section 3, where we mention the meeting times at 12:30, unless an alternate time and/or date schedule is announced by the board chairman in advance of the meeting day. Okay, so you have flexibility.
Okay.
Well, that's the original.
Now, this one would be resolution 21-07, correct?
Correct.
I make a motion to pass resolution number 2107, and setting the regular meeting time, dates, and times for the Marion County Board of Commissioners. That's my motion.
Second.
Second by Jonah. Any discussion?
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Section 4, did you put the date? I didn't. hear
Yes.
it.
That
March the
resolution
8th, I'm
shall
sorry.
become effective on March 8th, 2021,
After
in
publication.
the official county newspaper.
Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Okay.
I didn't
no problem.
actually say it, we caught it, I
Yep.
Okay.
appreciate that, yes.
Any other conversation? If not, I'm gonna ask each one of you again. Randy Dalkey, yay. Kent Becker,
Yeah.
David Mueller,
Yes.
Dave Profit,
Yes.
Jonah Garrett. Yay. Okay. I'll sign this one and pass it on.
Yep, that's what I was gonna mention. I added that last sentence, the spur of the moment thing, early this morning. I thought, shoot. Okay. The indemnification policy that I have prepared goes a little bit further than just the simplistic discussion we'd had at one point dealing with the current employee in terms of a PFA. It's a little broader than that, but it also gives you quite a bit of latitude. I also wanted it to be something that could be uniformly applied. The one fix in this thing at the bottom of page 1 under C policy, I'd added that first sentence, or actually this paragraph, and it left Sedgwick City Council there. I apologize for that. It's I just grabbed some of that language from several others I had written previously, and we did get that changed. But the intent here is primarily to address department heads. I have left it currently with enough latitude that if another employee for some reason is put upon and feels the need, again, this is just as an automatic. There is a process that I outline on under the policy itself, and I specifically note on the second to the last page, request process, how they must do it. I've also currently put the onus with me. If they get sued, usually I get that phone call anyway, and then I could outline that process for them, because there are some instances where clearly it's just not going to be something that the county has to involve itself in, and we don't want to get into a situation where we're carte blanche doing defense costs for everybody for everything, but making a determination that it is truly in the course of their employment, and that it is really something that they would not anticipate encountering in a typical environment, and they're being pushed into either an administrative hearing or a court case. This mirrors to a great extent what we have in our insurance policy anyway, and I didn't want to do anything counter to that. Because it's individualized, like in this particular instance, it makes it difficult for us to go to our carrier and say, we want this to be covered. And so that's where this is this little stopgap to deal with that. I included a provision with a number that may or may not be something you contemplate on the second page under number 2, a maximum of $2,500. Speaking from what I do, $2,500 doesn't go very far, but it's a good start for someone. If you then wish to authorize additional sums before those fees would be incurred, that employee would have to come back to you again. I want something to stop the bleeding here. And if you want it to be less, if you wanted 1,000 or 1,500, that's fine. That was just arbitrary on my part in terms of the number that I used. The requirement basically is that the employee notifies me. I let them know if it generally fits this policy. They then follow the request process and it comes to you. And it's my duty to keep you apprised, even if they just come to me initially and say, and I tell them I don't think it fits, I will still come to you immediately and let you know that this has been requested, this is what's going on. You need to know anyway, because if the employee is in some way involved or immersed in an action, the county needs to know it, if it in any way covers us or deals with us in some fashion. I also noted that there may, in certain circumstances, be private insurance. In the right circumstance, someone is driving and they're marginally, at least it's arguable that they're on county time. Our carrier says, nah, that's not going to work. But we look at it in the interest of fairness and equity and say, yeah, it sort of was. It was done at the request of another department head or an employee or someone. You have the latitude to come in then and say, we'll do that. But each is case by case. There's no absolute in that regard. This is just notifying these individuals, these employees who are covered by this, that you at least have that ability to make the request, and we'll take a look at it. Because you do want to support them. I think that was the discussion we had. It does not give them the ability, if they're coming after us, which is under number 6, if it's internal county proceedings and they feel in some way they've been abused by us, no, we don't pay for legal fees to come get us. Okay?
Good cover.
And so I tried to put anything. Now, the sections that we need to talk about briefly cover what we already have in our policy. When our insurance carrier steps in, they have the ability to seek their representation, pick the attorney that we use, usually someone obviously that they consider to be well qualified for that purpose. And they have the ability in terms of continued defense and indemnification to steer that litigation to some extent. We're always consulted, but they make some decisions on some of this. We want to settle it. We don't want you to settle it. You're admitting fault and we don't think we have any. Yeah, but we can settle it for 20 grand. It'll take 35,000 for us to defend them. So as many of you have witnessed before, working in different kinds of entities, they do reserve that right because they're the ones putting up the money. They don't normally, and we wouldn't either, acknowledge any liability on our behalf, but they just say, we're going to get out of this, and we're not going to stand on principle beyond a certain point because financially it makes no sense. I have all of that in here as well, so that it's consistent with what we do in terms of our coverage through our carrier on that rider.
I've been involved in 2 or 3 of those situations.
Me too.
They come to us and offer it to you as a mayor or as a commission, and you can get to that offer. Well, we'd rather settle for this.
Yep.
And cost you this much and us this much versus to fight this.
Yeah, exactly.
Settle out for.
And so that's all included. The last section of it is exactly what the employee has to do in every instance. I do specify in here that this was intended to be for our department heads, because they're the ones primarily who are going to carry most of the weight of this kind of thing if it comes up. But
it can be an employee.
It can. I noted that on a case-by-case basis, it could include another employee.
Good. Because if a grader operator's out there and gets sideways or something, what?
We get somebody in a truck and they I don't know, they throw up a rock or something flies off the back of the truck, and we don't have coverage through ours, and they get sued.
Okay, is this a motion or a resolution?
This, no, it is not a resolution, it's a policy statement. I did not do it in the form of a formalized resolution to you, and I didn't even call you, I should have to see.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, you've already got this.
I kind of did it this way on purpose, so if, many of them are just signed by the chair with the authority of the board, or if we wanted to do it
I
with
mean-
everyone, we could do it. It's no problem either way, as an adopted policy through resolution. But I'd have to put some
How do we
language
do
on
most
it.
of ours, Tina, on policies?
It depends. I mean, a lot of times you have, I mean, when it's outside of a policy manual, then,
Yeah.
you know, you have done it by resolution.
And I'm happy to form it up that way, if you prefer. I just did it this way, it's the least formal.
I think if you just, yeah, I don't know. That's not my.
Yeah, not your thing, I know.
No, but
And
we
we've
do
done
need
it
to
both ways,
make
and that
this
was.
corrections.
Yeah.
How's the commission, do you have any input on this? How you'd rather do it as a motion or just pass it as a policy?
If you want to formalize it in resolution form, it's not a big deal for me to make those changes.
I don't problem passing it as a policy.
Policy.
With as amended, for the Marion County Board
Yeah,
of
I'll fix
Commissioners
that.
in place of Sedgwick City Council.
Okay, that's your motion.
Yeah.
Okay, have a motion by Jonah. Anybody not hear what he was talking about?
Could you just go ahead and state, is it okay to ask to have that stated as a full motion that I can put in the minutes, please?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve policy, adopt the policy, Marion County employee indemnification policy with the
Correction.
for
Section
Marion,
C.
Section C policy, where it states Sedgwick City Council to be changed to Marion County Board of Commissioners.
Aye. Is that it? I'll second it. All those in favor? I will go again. Randy Dalkey, yay. Kent Becker?
Yeah.
David Crowfoot, or David Mueller?
Yes.
Dave Crowfoot?
Yay.
Oh. And Jonah Gehring?
Yay.
All five of you.
Now, of course, can we go to
I already mentioned it to you, you were here, so if you don't have time to step to do it, send it over to you.
Let's do it.
That's the only change that I know.
Yeah.
Are you gonna use this one for that, or are you gonna make one new one?
I can give you a new one to sign
Yeah,
if you
I've
wanna wait
already
a
emailed it
moment.
over to Tina's computer, so.
There's my amendment.
Yep.
That's
Okay,
it.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
If I take a minute and
Yeah.
fix it?
Yeah,
Or
go
do you
fix it.
wanna just
Go
sign
fix
this
it.
page?
Go fix it.
That's the last thing I have for today.
That's for you, okay? And I don't know, did somebody put commission department head evaluation on here? Give me a-
That's from last week, we didn't do.
Yeah, I think I got kicked.
I don't know what it is.
That can keeps getting kicked down the road.
It might have to be taken up
Kicked
on
again.
payday, if there ain't much on payday.
Okay. That's what I'm gonna say.
Do that Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. But who's our vice chair?
Oh, Dave's not gonna be here Friday?
I got wrestling tournaments. We got two
Oh.
grandsons out of Wichita
Uh-oh.
wrestling on Friday.
State?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
I think I'm supposed to go.
So both of you gonna be going?
I'm gonna have to find out this afternoon.
I mean, I don't know what time they, maybe if they wrestle at noon, but
You gonna be able to be here Friday?
it's an hour
I
away.
should be here.
I'll be here. That's a quorum.
Yeah, he's got a quorum.
Yeah. We just need to figure out who's gonna,
Set the chair.
who's gonna sit in that spot for
What didn't?
Friday.
Let Jonah do it.
I
What's the new Jonah?
I hope that I'm in Kansas City, but if not, I'll be here.
I can get it for you to sign here pretty soon. It hasn't come
Okay.
through on my email yet.
Okay,
so.
all right. We're gonna, unless somebody has some department head review that they wanna do today, or to talk about it, we'd like to kick the can down the road.
Okay, I
Friday.
think it might be helpful to, we can schedule a time. But I thought it would be helpful maybe if I could go over with the board the kind of the process
Okay.
and how the forms are and et cetera.
You wanna
So,
hold that down?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we can do it all. If you wanna do it on Friday or do it,
I think it's Friday, 2 commissioners will be gone.
oh,
Yeah. So, get it back on.
Did it go, do you think?
I texted her, she was gonna work through lunch hour, just said send it again as soon as possible.
Okay.
Public comments. Did anybody see any yet? Have any seen no chat box or anything?
No.
I've not seen any throughout the whole course of the
I
meeting.
have one public comment here, but if anybody else can get on after this. This is from Ken and Bonnie Vanduska. This is in related to the COVID meeting we had last week. We had our first COVID shot, 2/17, very smooth. Thank you, Ken and Bonnie Vanduska. Just another good compliment that's been coming in for the job that the health department and everybody's been doing, so. Thank you, Tina, for bringing that out.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any, no public comments? One more time for public comments.
Do you wanna take a minute and let me go check my email again, see if
Yeah,
I?
yeah.
Yeah, see if it came through.
Okay, I'll do that.
She didn't respond yet, but.
That's okay.
While we're waiting, I did have an update on legislation.
On what?
Legislation.
Okay.
John Barker, Representative Barker got back to me. He said he talked to the chair of the committee and it's not going anywhere, 2142. He said it's not going anywhere.
That was the one on,
Waiving or paying back property tax.
Right.
There were way too many problems with it.
Who proposed that?
I know there was this, that was a Senate.
There's
Come out of
one
the
Senate
committee?
side.
That didn't come out of the
This was the
committee.
House.
Was it SB or is it R? Okay.
She hasn't responded to me either.
That's okay.
I'll just do it when I get back now. Or she's.
That's okay.
Okay, so we don't have a copy to sign yet?
No,
Okay.
effective date at the top, what's that going to be? Do we-
I usually put it the day that you passed it, which would be today.
Okay.
And I noted that in mine on this as well.
Okay,
Back notice.
all right.
Since there's no publication required.
Excuse me.
Everything ready and done? Okay. Commission comments, final, I was just out of here. Anybody? I've got one, but I can't read what I wrote. I don't know what I was
Hey,
talking
we,
about.
Starting down the road right
Wow. Sound like lawyers, just, I don't know.
That is.
I have none. Anybody? Nope. Are we done with business then? Yes? Yes. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Jonah, all those in favor say aye.
And since you've approved this, I think if we have it for you to sign on Friday,
Okay.
is that appropriate to sign?
We all sign it, so it doesn't.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
3 of them there.
yeah. Just stamp the other two.